Chapter 347. After settling down a group of old friends, Qin Feng brought Lord Ba down the scarlet sky peak. Riding his sword, Qin Feng was like a stream of light as he flew through the sky. The dark north godly water sword under his feet was exchanging energy with Qin Feng. A wisp of original incipient stage, star true force tempered the high-grade spiritual sword, making it even more marvelous. Many of the impurities in the dark north godly water sword were tempered out by the original incipient stage, star true force. An ocean-like energy appeared in the sword, as though it contained the dark north ocean. After an hour, Qin Feng appeared at the entrance of All Stars College. After pondering for a while, Qin Feng entered All Stars College. At this moment, at the entrance of All Stars College, a few youths dressed in green robes were shocked when they saw this scene. One of the older youths said to the people beside him, "You guys follow him in and watch over that person. I will immediately report to the two venerables." The 10 great battle teams were extremely powerful in All Stars College, and each of them had their own encampment. The 5 Elements battle team's encampment was in the southeast. It was a large temple that was built in a grand manner. Many experts of the 5 Elements battle team came and went, making it look extremely prosperous. 5 Elements Palace. Looking at the flamboyant words on the central hall, the corners of Qin Feng's mouth curled up into a cold smile. The few youths at the entrance saw the black-robed youth below the stage. The leader of the group, an unruly youth with an arrogant face, shouted, "Where did this kid come from? Who are you? Why are you acting so sneakily? Do you have any ulterior motives?" The youth raised his chin and looked at Qin Feng from the corner of his eyes. From the beginning to the end, his gaze was filled with arrogance and scrutiny. Qin Feng sneered. "Call out your 5 Elements battle teams, Ao Kuan." The youth frowned. In the next moment, his eyes were filled with an ominous glint. "Little bastard, who dares to call out senior brother Ao Kuan's name is not something you can call out. You must be tired of living. Today, this young master will teach you how to behave." The young man's eyebrows revealed a trace of indifference. His eyes were cold as he indiscriminately slapped towards Qin Feng. But Qin Feng's hand moved as fast as lightning, directly slapping the young man's face. With a bang, the young man's body flew several feet away. "Poochie!" The young man spat out a mouthful of blood and teeth. His cheeks quickly swelled up. He raised his head and looked at Qin Feng with extreme resentment. "How dare you hit me? You're courting death. Are you guys still looking at me? Kill him for me." His voice, which sounded like it was leaking air, woke up the remaining guards. "Where did this blind little bastard come from? He actually dares to cause trouble in front of our 5 Elements battle squad. He must be tired of living. Break their limbs. You dare to cause trouble in front of our 5 Elements combat squad? Not only will you die, but your family will also suffer. Your entire family will suffer." 4 or 5 youths pounced over with savage looks in their eyes. The murderous aura of this group of people overflowed in all directions. Obviously, they had the intention to kill. The moment they attacked, they aimed at Qin Feng's vital point. Then, annoying little minions. Qin Feng waved his sleeves. In the next moment, 5 figures were thrown out at an even faster speed. Drops of blood fell from mid-air and dripped onto the ground. It was a ghastly sight. Bang bang bang! One figure after another landed and laid on the ground like dead dogs. The commotion at the 5 Elements Palace's entrance immediately attracted the attention of the surrounding All Stars College's students. Someone actually came to the 5 Elements Battle Squad's entrance to beat people up. Looking at this scene, the group of All Stars College's students had a strange expression on their faces. Among the top 10 battle squads, the 5 Elements Battle Squad was ranked at the top. It had always been them bullying others. When had anyone dared to touch the whiskers of the 5 Elements Palace? Hearing the commotion outside, a young man in a black robe led a group of people out of the 5 Elements Hall in a threatening manner. The leader was a tall young man. His face was pale as if he hadn't seen the sun for a long time. He was extremely weak, but the coldness in his long and narrow eyes made people not dare to underestimate him. He glanced at the disciples of the Five Elements battle squad lying on the ground. The corner of his eyes twitched violently, and a trace of insidious killing intent flashed quickly. Qin Feng had done some research on the Five Elements Palace before coming here. He knew this young man, who was called Zhong Huan. This person was also a little famous in the Five Elements battle squad. This young man was the squadron leader of one of the squadrons. His strength was not inferior to Zhao Xuanmeng's. Behind Zhong Huan, dozens of superiors rushed out. The weakest among them was at the 11th heaven of martial arts. Most of them were in the extreme human realm and the yellow realm of the condensing meridian. They all looked at Qin Feng with killing intent in their eyes. "Who are you? How dare you be so presumptuous in front of the Five Elements Palace?" Looking at the black-robed young man, Zhong Huan's face was cold and his eyes were dignified. He dared to be presumptuous in front of the Five Elements battle squad. Either he was crazy or he had something to rely on. Zhong Huan dared not be careless. Qin Feng's eyes were indifferent. "Tell me, where is Aokuan?" Zhong Huan frowned. "Why are you looking for senior brother Aokuan?" Qin Feng said. "Ask him to come out. Senior brother Aokuan is not here. Senior brother, you'd better think about how to explain to the Five Elements battle squad." Zhong Huan's eyes were cold, and the group of people looked a little unfriendly. Qin Feng's eyes were as cold as a knife. "You're right. Someone needs to give us an explanation today. Ask that bastard Aokuan to come out." Zhong Huan, who was the leader, stopped the group of furious superiors behind him. He looked at the black-robed young man with cold eyes. "Just you?" Qin Feng nodded and said. "You're right. Just me alone. The Five Elements battle squad dared to touch my people. You're bound to pay the price for helping the evildoer. Now I'll give you a choice. Immediately withdraw from the Five Elements battle squad and report Aokuan's henchmen. If you choose to protect them..." Qin Feng smiled gloomily. Hearing this, Zhong Huan laughed and looked at the black-robed young man with disdain. "You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Who do you think you are? You're only at the extreme mortal stage. Our Five Elements squad can easily crush an existence like you with one hand." Before he finished speaking, Qin Feng's body flashed and appeared in front of Zhong Huan. He circulated the Chaos Star True Force and blasted out a palm that transformed into a galaxy that enveloped Zhong Huan. Zhong Huan reacted and saw a torrential galaxy above his head. It was like a river hanging in the sky. Under this terrifying force, Zhong Huan's true force was like tofu and automatically dispersed. There's actually such a terrifying extreme human realm expert in the Meridian's stage. Zhong Huan was shocked. The next moment, he was drowned by the galaxy. Bang! Zhong Huan was blasted away like a cannonball. His body smashed into the window of the Five Elements Palace, creating a big hole in the Five Elements Palace and disappearing. "You dare to attack senior brother Zhong." Dozens of fierce gusts of wind came from behind him. Qin Feng turned around and gripped the North Underworld Godly Water Sword. The true power of the primal chaos stars transformed into 6 huge waves and crashed into the North Underworld Godly Water Sword. Qin Feng held the North Underworld Godly Water Sword and slashed out. A dozens of feet-long sword chi was like a majestic tide that struck the dozens of figures that rushed over. Bang bang bang! The dozens of figures were swept away and crashed into the Five Elements Palace one after another. Whoosh whoosh! This spectacular scene made it hard for everyone to breathe. 30 to 40 Meridian stage experts were sent flying by this black-robed young man's sword. This scene was so terrifying. Qin Feng glanced at the Five Elements Palace. A flame flashed in his eyes and he smiled coldly. "Aokuan, it doesn't matter if you're not here. I'll burn your Five Elements battle squad. When I catch your accomplices one by one, you'll come out. This is the first update. There are 3 more to come. Chapter 348. Qin Feng looked at the majestic and imposing 5 Elements Palace. A flame appeared in Qin Feng's palm, and at the next moment, Qin Feng's eyes lit up as he thought of a better idea. Qin Feng landed on Lord Ba, who was lazily sitting on his shoulder. Little 8, didn't you awaken a divine power? Upon hearing that, Little 8 immediately turned spirited. Its bird eyes looked at the black-dressed youth with a sneaky look as it said excitedly, "Caw, caw. Brother Feng, you finally thought of Little 8. Caw, caw. Little 8 is finally going on stage. How powerful is that divine ability of yours?" Qin Feng's eerie gaze swept across the entire 5 Elements Palace as a sinister smile appeared in his eyes. Little 8 patted its bare chest as it spoke. "Caw. Brother Feng, it's not that I'm bragging. Brother Feng, while you have been making rapid improvements over the past few days, I've also been cultivating diligently. Brother Feng, as long as you let Little 8 take action, I guarantee you that I'll kill all those bastards." Little 8 sized up the 5 Elements Palace with its bird eyes as it excitedly wiggled its butt. A small tuft of gray feathers on its butt swung around in a comical manner. Glancing at this ugly bird, Qin Feng lightly snorted and the corner of his mouth twitched. If one were to say that he had stolen all the treasures on his body, other than himself, the one who had benefited the most was this ugly bird. For some unknown reason, ever since he established a connection with it, the gray bird could enter and exit his Chaos Heavens at will. The Chaos Heavens had all sorts of treasures for the ugly bird to enjoy. The ugly bird had even set up a home on the Tree of Chaos. It had only been a few months, but the feathers on its butt had grown out again. Even its head had grown a lot bigger. With Little 8's origins, even Qin Feng might not be able to do a thing to the thieving bird. Qin Feng did not doubt it when it said that it wanted to kill everyone from the 5 Elements battle team. However, Qin Feng did not want to kill everyone from the 5 Elements battle team. Furthermore, the experts of the 5 Elements battle team were not present, so killing them was pointless. Qin Feng simply wanted to disgust the experts of the 5 Elements battle squad. "Cut the crap. I'm not asking you to kill anyone. I just want you to use your special ability. Quack, Brother Feng, can you change your request?" When it came to its special ability, the lowly bird showed a rare hint of embarrassment. Qin Feng looked indifferent. "Sure." 80 was overjoyed. Qin Feng continued. "However, in the future, spiritual medicines, spiritual wine, and spiritual spring will be halved. Quack, Brother Feng, you don't need to change anymore." The ugly bird panicked and immediately flew up from Qin Feng's shoulder. Like a gray shadow, it appeared above the 5 Elements Palace. The ugly bird's expression was sorrowful. It glanced at its master with hidden bitterness, then turned around in the next moment, an ominous glint in its eyes. "Quack, quack, for Grandpa 8's beautiful life, ugly human, accept Grandpa 8's righteous punishment," the ugly bird muttered. It opened its beak and a surge of yellow smoke enveloped the 5 Elements Palace. When the ugly bird was about to make its move, Qin Feng's figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. The experts of the Myriad Star Academy who were watching this scene were somewhat baffled. Why did Qin Feng suddenly run away? After a dozen breaths, the experts of All Stars College understood the reason. "Heavens, it stinks! What is this? It stinks to death. Oh my God, someone save me, I'm about to faint from the stench. F***ck, no matter how I seal my acupuncture points, it's useless. I can't take it anymore." Yellow smoke billowed and countless curses rang out. An indescribable stench shrouded the entire 5 Elements Palace. Stinky. An indescribable stench. It was as if a vat of old gold had been stored for 1,000 years. The faces of the experts of All Stars College twisted. A few of them even foamed at the mouth and fainted on the spot. The most unbearable thing was that this nauseating stench went straight to the depths of one's soul. No matter how one activated their feng shui divine ability or sealed their acupuncture points, they were unable to block this stench. This was Grandpa Eight's divine ability, the Qi of 5 Thieves. As the saying goes, if you have a squid in your heart, you can use it against the heavens. Unless your heart was pure and your soul was strong, you would be harmed by it. This divine ability had been cultivated to the point of perfection by Grandpa Eight. It faintly had the smell of the 5 decay of heaven and man, and all living things withering. Grandpa Eight didn't use his full strength this time, otherwise, everyone would have turned into a pile of rotten meat. But even so, this stench was unbearable. What a powerful Qi of 5 Thieves! This ugly bird's strength has improved beyond imagination. In the past, it could only spit out 1 Qi of 5 Thieves. Now, it can actually spit out such a dense Qi of 5 Thieves. It almost has the smell of the 5 decay of heaven and man. Qin Feng thought to himself. One had to know that the 5 decay of heaven and man could cause even gods and demons to decay. In the 5 Elements Palace, the hundreds of experts lying in ambush couldn't hold it in any longer. They were like ants on a hot pan, half dead from the nauseating stench. Swish, 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 swish. One figure after another tried to rush out of the Qi of 5 Thieves. However, after just 100 steps, they couldn't take it anymore and fell to the ground, vomiting violently. In the sky, Qin Feng's mouth twitched. Countless sounds of vomiting could be heard. A cool breeze blew over. Countless faint yellow Qi of 5 Thieves blew towards the entire All-Stars College. It stinks! Where is this stench coming from? I'm going to go berserk. I'm going to vomit. I can't take it anymore. Help! Who did this? I want to kill him. My spirit wine, it stinks! Following a series of miserable screams, as if someone's tail was stepped on, the entire All-Stars College was in an uproar. Countless figures could be seen desperately rushing towards the outside. Qin Feng even saw people running in the air while vomiting violently. Opening his mouth, Qin Feng looked at this scene. A trace of cold sweat appeared on his forehead. We're in trouble. Qin Feng's eyes twitched violently. The Qi of 5 Thieves was terrifying beyond Qin Feng's imagination. This accidentally spread to the entire All-Stars College. Cold sweat appeared on Qin Feng's forehead. Croak. Brother Feng, what do you think now? I, Little Eight, have used all my strength for you. I, Lord Eight, guarantee that the people below won't be able to escape. I'll make them vomit in depression. Qin Feng. Qin Feng glared fiercely at Ugly Bird, whose face was full of pride. Only now did Little Eight notice the chaos in the entire All-Stars College. The Ugly Bird smiled embarrassedly and quickly landed on Qin Feng's shoulder and closed its beak. Let's go. We can't stay here for long. Qin Feng looked down and looked around. Letting Little Eight take action was the worst decision I made this time. Qin Feng lamented in his heart. Little Eight's eyes rolled around. Croak, croak, where are we going? Brother Feng, are we still going to find Aokuan for revenge? Revenge? You've already taken revenge on the entire All-Stars College. We already have enemies all over the world. Qin Feng fiercely glared at this strange bird. His figure flashed and turned into a stream of light, flying towards the 3 enclosures' spiritual mountain. This revenge plan was completely ruined because of Little Eight's divine ability. Qin Feng only wanted to immediately return to the Scarlet Sky Peak. Otherwise, when the elders of All-Stars College reacted, there would be trouble. Outside the All-Stars College, an azure-clothed figure walked out from the darkness. Looking at the flash of light in the sky, the corner of his mouth revealed a cold smile. He turned around and said to the few people behind him, "Immediately inform Lord Een Sovereign and Lord Flower Empress. The prey has entered the trap. Please make preparations. Second update, third update, fourth update." Chapter 349. A beam of light flew out of the capital of stars. Half a day later, in front of two opposing mountains, Qin Feng slowed down. Under his feet was the Jade River. The river water roared like a white dragon, rushing down from the upper reaches. The 10-mile-wide river was magnificent. The roaring white dragon hit the riverbank. Rumble! Just at this moment, the surface of the river exploded with a loud bang. An incomparably cold light suddenly rushed out from the river and locked onto Qin Feng, who was in mid-air. Sneak attack. Qin Feng's eyes revealed a cold smile. The moment the sneak attack appeared, Qin Feng had noticed the person's figure. Qin Feng held the North Deep Godly Water sword in one hand. The 6 waves of the mixed Yuan Star True Power merged into one, slashing towards the sneak attack. A wave of sword light slashed out like an icy blue lightning, accurately cutting the sneak attack's waist. In front of the sneak attack's horrifying eyes, she was easily cut in half. Lure! An angry shout sounded. 7 or 8 waves of water light burst out from the bottom of the river. 7 or 8 sword lights with sharp killing intent locked onto the black-clothed youth. Ice-flying fish cut. 12 splitting swords. Divine Wind Sword Technique. Qin Feng's vital meridians were violently pulsing. These sneak attackers were fast, accurate, ruthless, and full of killing intent. The most frightening thing was that the weakest of them was a Yellow Realm warrior with more than 10 spiritual meridians. There were even 2 superiors in the Earth Realm who had condensed more than 20 spiritual meridians. They killed the black-clothed young man with unparalleled killing intent. If an ordinary warrior of the extreme realm encountered this kind of assassination, he would have lost 10 lives. There are quite a few sneak attacks. Unfortunately, this level of assassination was enough to deal with me before, not to mention now that I have the original realm true power. Thinking in his heart, Qin Feng's expression was indifferent. A stream of cyan light enveloped his entire body, and a set of bronze armor appeared on his body. Clang, clang, clang. Tens of snow-white beams of light suddenly pierced into the abyss armor. A layer of bronze light on Qin Feng's abyss armor almost simultaneously blocked these tens of sword lights that contained killing intent. Oh no, it's a bronze armor. Not good, retreat. I've been tricked. Numerous gazes filled with killing intent were filled with shock. At this moment, an icy voice filled with chilliness appeared in everyone's minds. Chaos Tidal Extinction, 7th Sword. An ice-cold sword light appeared in front of everyone's eyes and instantly bombarded the dozen or so sneak attackers. Clang! Clang! More than a dozen sounds of metal breaking could be heard as the swords shattered. More than a dozen silhouettes were torn apart by the sword light. Broken limbs were scattered all over the ground. Nearly 20 meridian condensation experts had been killed by a single sword strike. Whoosh! At this moment, Qin Feng felt a chill in his heart. In an instant, Qin Feng seemed to hear a resounding roar that seemed to originate from an ancient celestial dragon. An unparalleled cold light suddenly appeared within 3 feet of him, and then appeared in front of his chest. Qin Feng had a feeling that his chest would be completely torn apart by this cold light. Qin Feng's palm moved, and an invisible yin-yang diagram appeared on his palm. This was the yin-yang diagram after the black tortoise yin-yang Dao De Shang. Qin Feng clawed out with a single palm, grabbing hold of this explosive cold light that was coming at him. Rumble! It was like an ancient celestial dragon breaking through the air. The ancient dragon's roar shook in Qin Feng's mind. What a marvelous sword technique! This sword technique seems to contain the power of an ancient celestial dragon. It's extremely ferocious, and the most difficult thing to guard against is that this ancient dragon's roar can directly shake one's soul. As this thought flashed through his mind, Qin Feng's eyes contained a trace of fierceness. The attacker was very sinister. It seemed that he had set up a killing array and used others to distract Qin Feng while he hid in the dark. If Qin Feng was entangled by those assassins, he would definitely be killed by this person. Unfortunately, This person had underestimated Qin Feng's strength by far. 18 meridian condensation experts had been ruthlessly killed by Qin Feng in a single exchange. This person could only launch an assassination in advance. The yin-yang diagram violently trembled, and countless dragon-like sword chi flew out from the tip of the sword and bombarded the yin-yang diagram. It was as if a celestial dragon was about to split open the sky. The yin-yang diagram rotated, containing the supreme mysteries of yin and yang in the world. It strangled and suppressed the earth, water, wind, and fire. Rumble! With a loud sound, the attacker was blasted back hundreds of feet and landed on the river like a cannonball. Qin Feng's body shook, but he did not retreat half a step. No, impossible, how can you be so strong? In the distance, an 18 or 19-year-old golden-clothed youth stared at Qin Feng as if he had seen a ghost. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Damn it, this is impossible. They said that Qin Feng broke through to the meridian condensation realm less than 2 months ago. How can he be so terrifying? He can actually withstand the attack of my 50 true dragon spirit veins. Ao Kun roared in his heart, his eyes red as he stared at Qin Feng. Ao Kun! Qin Feng raised his head, and his eyes fell on the golden-clothed youth on the river. This was an 18 or 19-year-old youth. He wore a golden robe and exuded an unusually strong aura. This person was like a regent prince who controlled the country, noble beyond words. This youth was like a real dragon. Qin Feng recognized this person. This person was Ao Shin's brother, Ao Kun. He was also a peerless genius of the 5 Elements battle team. It was said that he had many fortuitous encounters and was very powerful. Qin Feng quietly used a secret technique to observe. In his eyes, golden spirit veins appeared one after another in the golden-clothed youth's body. There were a total of 50 spirit veins. These spirit veins were like true dragons entrenched in the youth's body, swallowing and spitting out vast amounts of void yuan qi at every moment. It was extremely terrifying. 50 spiritual veins. That was quite terrifying. Generally speaking, after an ordinary martial artist broke through to the meridian condensation realm, they could condense at most 3 spirit veins in each secret realm. The 5 extreme secret realms could condense at most 15 spirit veins. For those with better aptitude, condensing 30 spirit veins was already the limit. Even for top geniuses like Yi Qinghua and Xuelian, 45 spirit veins was already the limit. If they condensed more spirit veins, it would only be a burden on their body and cause their flesh to explode. 50 spirit veins was already breaking the limit of the 5 extreme secret realms and breaking through to a whole new realm. Although this realm was still inferior to a terrifying existence like Qin Feng, it was definitely a monstrous genius. This person must have a secret on him. Qin Feng circulated the secret technique to the limit. Qin Feng saw the secret hidden in Ao Kun's body. He saw a huge sky dragon Sarira in Ao Kun's body. This sky dragon Sarira was entrenched in Ao Kun's heart, constantly spewing out sky dragon essence to temper and refine Ao Kun. It was because of this sky dragon Sarira that Ao Kun was able to break through the limit and become a monstrous genius. What a treasure! I actually obtained the sky dragon Sarira. This sky dragon Sarira contains the last essence of the immemorial sky dragon after its death. If I can obtain the 8 Desolation immortal mystic art, breaking through to the 2nd level will be just around the corner. I came back a little late from overtime. This is the 3rd update. There is still one more to come. Chapter 350. How strong was 50 spiritual veins? Such an existence was only half a step away from being able to condense a trace of spatial energy and refine one's own true force into void true force. After being repelled by Qin Feng in one strike, Ao Kun was shocked, but it wasn't enough to stop him or even make him flee. Qin Feng, although I don't know what unorthodox path you have cultivated, in front of the dragon race's divine ability, It will all be defeated. Thousand dragons God-destroying claw. Alcuin roared into the sky, and the dragon roar shook the heavens. His body turned into a dragon-shaped force, and his claw locked onto Qin Feng. There seemed to be a special force in his 5 claws. Under this force, the entire void seemed to be melting. This was the power of the Sky Dragon. It was rumored that the Sky Dragon was a postnatal true spirit that was born in a dragon nest in the void. Qin Feng felt a sharp force extending through the void. It directly penetrated the abyss armor on the surface of his body and blasted into his body, wanting to claw out his internal organs. This is the void true force that only Sea Wheel experts have. Qin Feng's scalp went numb, and a deathly aura enveloped his body. This was a killer move. With a claw, Alcuin's eyes flickered with pride as he sneered. No matter how strong Qin Feng was, he definitely wouldn't be able to withstand the void force. The void force could be transmitted directly into the martial artist's body through the void. Even if Qin Feng cultivated some demonic divine ability, as long as he didn't control the void force, his intestines and stomach would be smashed under this claw. This was the strongest point of a Sea Wheel realm expert. Looking at Qin Feng's miserable expression, Alcuin's eyes flickered with a carefree expression. Qin Feng, so what if you are a grade 4 alchemist? So what if your aptitude is outstanding? You will still fall in my hands. Alcuin's mouth revealed a trace of a smile. At this moment, a strange smile suddenly flashed across Qin Feng's face. Around the black-robed youth's body, a terrifying star-true energy appeared. The instant this star-true energy appeared. Not good. Aokuin's expression changed drastically. He felt that the star-true power in his body was actually trembling under this power, like a subject meeting an emperor. In the blink of an eye, Qin Feng lost contact with the void energy that had broken into his body. At the same time, Qin Feng's figure suddenly disappeared. In the next moment, a black shadow silently appeared in front of Alcuin and directly slashed out with his sword. This time, it was the unprecedented 8th Sword of Primordial Chaos Tidal Extinction. The true power of the 8 primordial chaos stars fused into one, directly drowning Aokuin. No, the true body of the Sky Dragon's power. Aokuin was shocked. The Sky Dragon true force in his body exploded to the limit. The golden true chi around his body grew layers upon layers of fine dragon scales, and a sinister dragon horn grew out of his forehead. In the next moment, the golden gang chi split into 2. The bright sword light entered Alcuin's forehead and split his body in 2. Without a sound, Qin Feng's figure flashed and appeared on the spot. His body was split into 2 halves, but Alcuin was not dead. A rolling blood chi flew out of Alcuin's corpse, turning into Alcuin's resentful, unwilling, and crazy appearance. Why can't my 4 in 9 heavens dragon true power block your star true power? Of course it can't block it. The Sky Dragon true power is originally a kind of true power of very high quality, but in front of my star true power, it can't withstand a single blow. Qin Feng turned around and looked at the Blood Soul. In all fairness, the Sky Dragon true power was indeed of very high quality. The 4 in 9 heavens dragon true power was already comparable to the condensed true power of some quasi-monstrous geniuses. If it was the 5 in 9 heavens dragon true power, it was completely comparable to the heavenly Tao true power. If he could raise the quality of the Sky Dragon true power to the 9 heavens perfect level, he might be able to compete with the star true power of the original incipient level. I can't accept this, I can't accept this, I won't lose, I won't lose. In the Blood Soul, Alcuin stared at the black-clothed youth with resentment. I won't let you go, I won't let you go. Intense resentment was rolling in the Blood Soul. The Blood Soul couldn't resist the attraction from the ground and was sucked into the ground. He actually attracted the attention of the Blood River. This guy had so much resentment before he died? Qin Feng frowned as he looked at this scene. Qin Feng wanted to disperse the blood soul condensed from Aokuan's resentment, but he hesitated for a moment and didn't make a move. The Blood River was a terrifying forbidden area that was on par with the Earth Abyss food tunnel. It was said that the Blood River was somewhere underground. It was said that it was the most evil place in the world, where countless demons and monsters gathered. Qin Feng knew that there was an entrance to the Blood River in the 3 enclosures. That place was called the Blood River Secret Realm. All year round, the experts of the All-Stars College stayed there to kill the demons and monsters that escaped from the Blood River. However, Qin Feng didn't expect Aokuan's resentment to be so great that it could attract the attention of the Blood River. Being noticed by the Blood River, Qin Feng couldn't make a move. Unless it was a demon god-level existence, no expert would be able to snatch the attention of the Blood River. Qin Feng had a faint intuition that perhaps one day he would meet Aokuan again. With a gloomy expression, Qin Feng turned around and looked at Aokuan's corpse. Qin Feng waved his sleeve and a formless energy vibrated. Poochie! Aokuan's corpse crumbled and a lump of blood flew out. Heavenly Dragon Saraira! Qin Feng's eyes lit up. Where do you think you're going? Qin Feng's 5 fingers were like claws as he grabbed at the air. At this moment, the shadow under Qin Feng's feet suddenly twisted and a grayish-black robed man suddenly appeared behind Qin Feng. A dark cold light broke through the green armor and entered Qin Feng's back. What's that? Qin Feng felt a sharp pain in his back. His eyes widened in shock as his body was pushed by a huge force. He involuntarily turned into a cannonball and flew dozens of feet away. Pung! Qin Feng barely controlled his body and flipped in the air. His feet landed on the ground. Pung, 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 several inches deep scratches appeared under his feet. Qin Feng's feet left a few feet-long sliding marks on the ground. Qin Feng was just about to get up. Whoosh, whoosh. Suddenly, a sharp pain came from his back. Qin Feng felt that his back was already numb. A trace of cold, strange, and deathly energy instantly extended from his back to his internal organs. Qin Feng's tyrannical spiritual sense swept out and saw a sparkling and translucent jet-black dagger stabbed into his back. It seemed to be condensed from the most evil energy in the world. Qin Feng felt a strange and evil energy continuously flowing out from the dagger, eroding his life force. From the wound came a feeling that even the world was about to decay. Qin Feng's heart couldn't help but sink. At the same time, to make matters worse, an invisible figure swept over. The person who had ambushed him was hot on his heels, making things worse. Unfortunately, this person's strength was abnormally terrifying. In Qin Feng's spiritual sense, Aokuan, who had condensed 50 spirit veins and grasped a trace of void energy, was as weak as a baby in front of this person. This was a Sea of Reincarnation Realm expert. Furthermore, he was a Sea of Reincarnation Realm expert who specialized in assassination. Just as this thought flashed through Qin Feng's mind, the figure suddenly distorted and pounced towards him. At this moment, Qin Feng's entire body was in intense pain. He was limp and powerless. His strength wasn't even half of his peak state. Tomorrow's update is still at 4 o'clock. Chapter 351. Fatal Blow. Qin Feng had encountered countless dangers, but none of them were as dangerous as this. Qin Feng took a deep breath as his eyes remained calm. His primordial incipient stellar true force surged as he began suppressing the sinister energy coming from the dagger on his back. With the strength of the primordial incipient stellar true force, Qin Feng was confident that with enough time, Qin Feng would be able to refine the corrosive energy coming from the dagger. At that moment, Qin Feng looked up and saw a shadow in front of him. Little bastard, accept your fate. This is the primordial poison dragon dagger. This dagger is refined from the fangs of the primordial poison dragon. It contains toxic energy. Even a Sea of Reincarnation Realm expert would be poisoned to death if struck by it. You won't be able to withstand it. Grey Silver's eyes flashed a sinister smugness. Bam! It was indescribably fast. This speed exceeded the limits of Qin Feng's spiritual perception. The next moment, a palm pressed down on Qin Feng's chest. Kacha! Qin Feng felt a sharp pain in his chest as a part of it collapsed. Poochie! Qin Feng was sent flying like a cannonball. In midair, he spat out a mouthful of blood that contained fragments of his organs. Rumble! Qin Feng tried his best to control his body as he landed on the ground like a gust of wind. Dust flew as Qin Feng knelt on one knee. He had one hand on the ground as blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. Pain. Qin Feng felt all the bones in his body shatter from his chest. The intense pain caused his nerves to twitch as Qin Feng's face turned pale. Qin Feng circulated the 8 Desolation Indestructible Mystic Technique. In the chaos heavens, streams of spring of life surged into his body from his dantian. The two worked together to rapidly heal his injuries. Qin Feng's eyes were like the blazing sun, the silver star. True power in his body was like a river of stars, rumbling and surging like a great river. Qin Feng's pale face slowly turned red. At the same time, the stellar true force in his body circulated at full force. Poochie! Poochie! Behind him, the sparkling and translucent pitch-black immemorial poison dragon dagger moved inch by inch into the flesh. A silver light blossomed from Qin Feng's back, and a lot of the corroded black flesh evaporated. The tendons, bones, and meridians near his flesh were torn between destruction and rebirth. I only need 50 breaths of time. I only need to hold on for 50 breaths of time. After 50 breaths of time, I will be able to completely force this strange dagger out and refine this strange toxic energy. Qin Feng's eyes were ferocious. He felt lucky in his heart. If he hadn't cultivated the original incipient grade star power, any other pulse condensation realm warrior would have been killed. Suddenly, a gust of cold wind appeared. Qin Feng raised his head and saw a gray-robed figure standing 10 feet away. This was a figure shrouded in a gray robe. It was impossible to tell whether it was a man or a woman. His footsteps were silent, and he quietly appeared in front of Qin Feng. The moment this gray-robed figure appeared, Qin Feng felt a terrifying and indescribable pressure in his heart. This was a real Sea of Reincarnation realm expert. The Yin Emperor's pupils reflected a trace of unconcealable surprise. He felt the vigorous vitality in the black-robed youth's body, and a gloomy and cold killing intent spat out. "Little bastard, I didn't expect your vitality to be so tenacious. You took a hit from the immemorial poison dragon dagger, and 2 of my palms, and you can still stand up." Qin Feng's hair stood on end as he bathed in the killing intent. The pores on his body violently contracted, and an incomparably dense aura of death shrouded his heart. 45 breaths left. I must stall for time. Who are you? Why did you sneak attack me? Qin Feng raised his head and glared at the Yin Emperor, his eyes filled with anger. The Yin Emperor's eyes were cold as they fell on Qin Feng's back, where the silver light was lingering. His eyes revealed a trace of a cold smile as he saw through Qin Feng's intention. "Kid, don't waste your time. You want to stall for time and force the immemorial poison dragon dagger out? Don't even think about it. Although I don't know what method you used to restrain the power of the immemorial poison dragon, I won't give you the chance." Dark Shadow 100 Crack Strike. The gray-robed figure flashed, and countless darkness true force converged, forming over 100 terrifying dark shadow alls. Over 100 dark shadow alls locked onto Qin Feng as they broke through the air and flew towards him. Damn it! While cursing, Qin Feng's eyes flashed with a trace of chilliness. His figure flashed, and his figure was like an illusion. But in the next moment, Qin Feng's expression changed. An invisible pressure burst out from the Yin Emperor, enveloping the surrounding area of 30 meters. Dark Shadow Domain. This was the signature ability of a Sea of Reincarnation realm expert, the exclusive domain. This was also the strongest ability of a Sea of Reincarnation realm expert, the domain suppression. The invisible dark force restricted Qin Feng, and Qin Feng's speed was at least 3 to 4 times slower than usual. His figure flickered as a dark shadow all smashed into Qin Feng's shoulder. The green armor blocked a portion of the dark energy, but there was still a portion of the dark energy that pierced through the armor and hit Qin Feng's body. Bang! The dark force exploded. A small bloody hole appeared on Qin Feng's shoulder. Qin Feng staggered and his speed slowed down. 2 more awls pierced through the air and struck Qin Feng's body. Bang! 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 2 more awls exploded on Qin Feng's thigh and waist. Whoosh! Whoosh! Qin Feng's figure flashed, and he appeared a few steps away with a pale face. Qin Feng glanced at the 3 bloody holes on his body, and a trace of scarlet flashed in his eyes. He circulated the 8 desolation immortal mysterious art, and under the Yin Emperor's astonished gaze, the 3 bloody holes healed at a visible speed. A sea of reincarnation realm expert was too tyrannical. Under the suppression of the domain, Qin Feng felt as if he was facing a giant mountain. Regardless of speed, strength, or mental force, all of them are suppressed by the domain. I have to find a way to break the dark shadow domain formed by the dark force. Otherwise, I will definitely die in this domain. Qin Feng thought. Right now, I can only stall for time and force out the ancient poison dragon dagger. Then, I will find a way to break this dark shadow domain. 38 breaths of time. Qin Feng felt that a small portion of the ancient poison dragon dagger had been forced out from his back. The Yin Emperor glanced at Qin Feng's rapidly healing wounds with surprise. The Yin Emperor was experienced and knowledgeable. This wasn't Qin Feng harming his own foundation to recover. This was a complete recovery. It wasn't like other secret techniques that didn't have any side effect. What kind of technique did this little bastard cultivate to be able to automatically heal such a serious injury? The Yin sovereign sized up Qin Feng from head to toe. His serene green eyes carried a trace of unconcealable surprise. This kind of cultivation technique was truly terrifying. If a normal pulse condensation period powerhouse received 3 of his dark shadow spirit extinguishing alls, even if they didn't die, their spiritual veins would be corroded by the dark force within the alls, and they would lose a portion of their ability to resist. Not only did Qin Feng not lose the ability to resist, but in just a few breaths of time, he was alive and kicking. If it wasn't for the ancient poison dragon dagger on his back, he would have already completely recovered. This kind of recovery ability was terrifying in the Yin Emperor's knowledge. A great opportunity, this is a great opportunity. I must obtain this cultivation technique. The Yin Emperor's heart burned with greed. The Yin Emperor's dark green eyes flashed with a trace of heat as he stared at Qin Feng. The Yin Emperor lightly said, "Kid, I will give you a chance. Brat, I'll give you a chance now. Hand over your cultivation technique, and I'll leave your corpse intact." Qin Feng shook his head. "Change the conditions. I'm about to die, so why should I give you the cultivation technique? You should at least change the conditions to something better. For example, you should let me leave this place alive. Or you can find a few beauties for me to enjoy before I die. How about senior dance for me? If I feel guilty and feel happy, I will pass this cultivation technique to you." As Qin Feng spoke, he counted in his heart. There are still 35 breaths of time. Hearing Qin Feng's first condition, the Yin Emperor nodded. But when he heard the last condition, the Yin Emperor was so angry that he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Chapter 352. Brat, how dare you trick me? The Yin Emperor's face was ashen, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Seeing that the Yin Emperor was about to explode, Qin Feng rolled his eyes and shouted, "Senior, wait a moment. Let me analyze it carefully. Senior, you are asking for a sky-high price, and I am sitting on the ground to pay you back. You have to think about it this way. This cultivation technique of mine is a treasure that I have spent a lot of effort to obtain. I have relied on it to reach where I am today. Think about it. What are you trying to say? The Yin Emperor's eyes were cold. Qin Feng's eyes flashed with a cold smile. This gray-robed man was very smart and cautious. That was why he had successfully tricked Qin Feng. However, the smarter a person was, the more confident he was. Once a person was overconfident, he would make mistakes. Apparently, the gray-robed man thought that he had defeated Qin Feng and had begun to let down his guard. Of course, there was still some curiosity in his heart. He was curious about what reason Qin Feng would find next. Qin Feng made up his mind to stall for time and blurted out nonsense. Senior, for such a precious cultivation technique, there would be people willing to pay thousands of lives for it, let alone a life. As Qin Feng spoke, he looked at the Yin Emperor's frowning face. Qin Feng knew that the gray-robed man had been led into a ditch. A trace of self-mockery flashed in his eyes. Qin Feng continued to speak. However, I know that you have made up your mind to take my life. You won't let me go. Since I am about to die, it shouldn't be too much to ask for a cultivation technique in exchange for a slightly unusual request, right? Yes, that's true. The Yin Emperor nodded and thought to himself. At least this kid knows his place. Although this kid's request is somewhat hateful, it's not without reason. However, I can't find any beauties. The Yin Emperor frowned. If they were in another place, he would be able to summon a few women with a wave of his hand. This place was desolate and uninhabited. There were no villages or shops around. Where could he find any women? As for the third condition, the Yin Emperor's face darkened and a trace of threat flashed in his eyes. Brat, change your condition. 15 breaths left. Qin Feng had a smile on his face, but he was secretly tensing his nerves. As long as he was given another 15 breaths of time, he would completely refine the ancient poison dragon's power gushing out from the ancient poison dragon dagger. At that time, even if he couldn't defeat the gray-robed man, he would at least have no problem escaping. As for defeating the Yin sovereign, Qin Feng had no such thoughts. There was a heavenly moat between the Sea of Reincarnation realm and the Meridian's condensation realm. This kind of disparity caused one to feel despair. Senior, I don't actually have any hobbies. I just like to watch people dance. Qin Feng paused. The original incipient grade star power in his body had reached a limit. The immemorial poisonous dragon dagger on his back was forced out little by little. Qin Feng inclined his head. A cold gleam of light landed on the gray-robed figure as he laughed. Especially someone as ugly as you, Senior. It must be very funny to see such an ugly and stupid person dance. Poochie. Suddenly, a ring of silver light vibrated around Qin Feng's body, and a stream of filthy blood shot out from the wound on Qin Feng's back along with the ancient poison dragon dagger. Ding-dang! The sparkling, black dagger fell on the ground. Hearing Qin Feng's mocking words and seeing the immemorial poisonous dragon dagger being forced out of Qin Feng's wound, the Yin sovereign's face turned into the color of pig liver. At this moment, how could he not know that Qin Feng was stalling for time? Taking a deep breath, the Yin sovereign's chest heaved up and down. His anger was about to explode. The Yin sovereign was so angry that his lungs almost exploded. Qin Feng, you will regret this. Wait until you fall into my hand. I swear I will drown your soul in the soul-refining black flame. I will make you beg for death. The Yin sovereign viciously scolded Qin Feng. His body flashed, and in the next moment, he appeared. His cold light locked on Qin Feng. A pitch-black sharp sword appeared in his hands, and he slashed out. Countless sword shadows appeared in the sword light, covering Qin Feng. Qin Feng's body moved. Suddenly, his expression changed. An unimaginable power entangled him in the dusky dark shadow domain. It was as if countless shackles had appeared in the surroundings. It's useless, little ant. In my dark shadow domain, your strength will be completely suppressed. The reason why Sea of Wheel experts are called Sea of Wheel experts is because they have condensed the spatial chakra meridians and the power of the void. The power of the spatial chakra isn't something an ant like you can imagine. The Een Sovereign's eyes flickered with malevolence and viciousness. After forcing out the immemorial poisonous dragon dagger, Qin Feng felt refreshed. Silver Star true force erupted from his body like a river of stars. His eyes were bursting with divine light. Hearing this, Qin Feng laughed wildly. "Old man, you are too arrogant. I called you senior because your young master is being suppressed by the immemorial poisonous dragon dagger. Who do you think you are?" "Xiao. Xiao." Qin Feng mobilized the world tree in his body. Invisible roots shot out from his pores like lightning. Qi. Qi. In just an instant, the dark shadow domain was broken. In front of the world tree, the power of the void was merely nourishment. Qi. With the life domain broken, the Een Sovereign's face turned pale. He was affected and his soul was shaken. "It's my turn to make a move." Seeing the opportunity, Qin Feng's figure flies out of the shoal like a dragon from the ninth heaven. In the next moment, he suddenly appears in the sky above the Een Emperor. The flames gushing out from Qin Feng's eyes almost melted the void. After being suppressed and beaten for so long, Qin Feng's chest has long been filled with depression. Primal Chaos Fire Grand Divine Ability, 5 types of flames fuse into one. With a thought, Qin Feng gathered all his cultivation on his palm. The 5 types of flames fused together, forming a 5-colored ball of light that fluctuated violently above Qin Feng's palm. Bang! Bang! There was a ferocious surge of energy within the flames. It was extremely unstable. Occasionally, there would be a thunderous sound when it collided. It was as if the void would explode in the next moment. "What is that?" The Een Sovereign's expression changed. He raised his head and looked at the 5-colored ball of light in Qin Feng's palm. His eyebrows twitched violently, and his heart skipped a beat. An extremely bad feeling arose in his heart. Although he didn't want to believe that a mere Meridian's condensation realm ant had any means to injure a sea reincarnation realm expert. Out of caution, the Een Sovereign wanted to avoid it. Suppressing the backlash from the shattering of the life domain, the Een Sovereign turned into a black shadow and flashed to the side. But it was too late. "Primal Chaos Fire, explode for me!" At this moment, Qin Feng shouted. The 5-colored ball of light left his hand and turned into a stream of light that appeared above the Een Sovereign's head. Boom! Boundless flames wreaked havoc on the spot, crazily releasing terrifying power. It was as if a rapidly expanding vermilion sun had appeared. Terrifying heat was emitted. In an instant, the Een Sovereign's grey robe was burned to ashes. His face was filled with fear as the vermilion sun expanded to its limit. In the next moment, it exploded. Bang! The huge explosion resounded through the entire 3 enclosures for hundreds of miles. Under the thunderous explosion, a violent force poured down. In the distance, Qin Feng only felt a terrifying force bombarding his body. His body involuntarily flew back dozens of feet. On the spot, a terrifying red light soared into the sky. The entire riverbank seemed to have been blasted into the sky. Dust flew everywhere. After an unknown amount of time, the aftermath of the destruction dissipated. Qin Feng opened his eyes and saw a deep abyss at the riverbank. His figure flashed, and Qin Feng appeared at the entrance of the abyss. He looked down. At the bottom of the abyss, a figure was lying in the pit on the verge of death. His entire body was charred black, and his eyes were lifeless. Don't complain. Black Tortoise's speed is already very fast. Black Tortoise also needs to work. He has to work from 9 to 5, and work hard for his future wife and son. He can't just sit leisurely under the air conditioner. Black Tortoise also doesn't want to slow down the updates. If possible, Black Tortoise would like to update 10 times a day. Everyone knows that the more you update, the more you earn. However, this can't be done. So, I hope everyone can understand. If you can't wait until 4 times a day, Black Tortoise won't keep you. Chapter 353. Above the abyss, Qin Feng's body was sore and limp. His astral quintessential force had dried up in his meridians. Conjuring the chaos fire was too much of a burden for him. Phew! Phew! His chest heaved as Qin Feng endured the numbness all over his body. He circulated the primordial chaos stellar art to recover his quintessential force. At the same time, Qin Feng refined the spring of life in his body to cleanse his internal injuries and recover. Deep underground, in a pit thousands of feet deep, a charred figure was lying on the ground. He was naked and looked like he was charred. Yin Emperor was completely dazed by the chaos fire's great divine power. His body was riddled with holes from the explosive forces of the 5 spirit fires. At the bottom of the abyss, his vitality was weak and he was on the brink of death. However, this was only on the surface. A sea of reincarnation expert was ultimately a sea of reincarnation expert. He looked severely injured on the surface, but such injuries were not enough to threaten the life of a sea of reincarnation expert. Qin Feng also knew that it would not take long for Yin Emperor to recover with the powerful recovery abilities of a sea of reincarnation realm expert. As his gaze landed on the abyss, Qin Feng sighed inwardly. Unfortunately, the chaos fire condensed from the 5 spirit fires is only an incomplete version. It is ultimately incomparable to the true chaos fire divine power. If I could condense more than 9 spirit fires, I might have a chance of severely injuring a sea of reincarnation realm expert. With this thought in mind, Qin Feng circulated the primordial chaos stellar art with all his might. In his dried meridians, wisps of astral quintessential force were born. I have to recover as soon as possible. Standing above the abyss, Qin Feng powered the 5 spirit veins with all his might. He absorbed the rich yuan qi in the chaos heavens to recover his cultivation. At the same time, he circulated the 8 desolation indestructible mystic technique. Silver starlight flowed around him as he emitted a silvery white luster. Dong! Dong! Suddenly, Qin Feng heard a strong throbbing heartbeat that sounded like a drum. Oh no, he actually recovered so quickly. His eyes turned cold. At this moment, he happened to see a life force recovering from a piece of charred coal underground. A gloomy aura appeared from the charred corpse. The Yin Emperor's dull eyes moved and he regained his consciousness. His eyes were cold as he stared at the figure looking down from the chasm. There was a trace of viciousness that could not be erased. Even though they were separated by several hundred meters, Qin Feng still felt a chill in his heart. I have to find a way to stop him from recovering. In his heart, Qin Feng speculated. The astral true energy in Qin Feng's body was also recovering, but it had only recovered by less than 30%. This kind of speed was enough to make many people look up to him. However, compared to the recovery speed of a sea of reincarnation realm expert, it paled in comparison. Crack! Crack! Scabs quickly formed on the Yin sovereign's body, and it seemed that he would recover completely in just a few breaths' time. The Yin Emperor had been staring at Qin Feng. The viciousness and resentment in his eyes were almost tangible. He had no doubt that once he recovered, Qin Feng would be in a more difficult situation than before. Don't be complacent too early. With a sneer, Qin Feng's eyes moved. In midair, a black light flew out, and an ugly bird with a few gray feathers on its butt and head appeared in front of him. This ugly bird made a beautiful turn and landed on Qin Feng's shoulder. Its bird eyes turned and noticed the bloodstains on Qin Feng's battle clothes. Croak! Croak! Brother Feng, why did you summon Little Eight? You seem to be injured. That bastard dared to injure you. The feathers on the head of the thieving bird stood up, and its eyes were filled with viciousness. A formless black light appeared on its body, and a viciousness that came from ancient times was emitted. It was like an immemorial demonic beast that tormented all living things in the immemorial times. The aura it emitted was actually not inferior to some rank 2 beast kings. In particular, the majesty within its aura that made all beasts worship it was extraordinarily terrifying. All right, the person is below. Don't let him recover. Qin Feng's gaze fell on the abyss. The bird's eyes were filled with savagery and arrogance. With a flap of its wings, little 8 appeared above the abyss and saw the Yin Emperor lying inside. Croak. Brother Feng, don't worry. I will kill him for you right now. This sleek and treacherous ugly bird's voice carried a trace of seriousness that had never been there before. The bird's black eyes locked onto the Yin Emperor and it opened its beak. Buzz. Buzz. A formless black light appeared. When this black light appeared, an aura of decay and withering gathered around the ugly bird. Under Qin Feng's surprised gaze, the feathers on the top of the ugly bird's head and tail suddenly turned black. At the same time, layers of black feathers grew out of the ugly bird's body. These pitch-black feathers emitted a jet-black luster. This ugly bird, which originally looked abnormally ugly, actually had an indescribable charm and magnificence. It spread its wings slightly and its body was tall. Without a sound, the surrounding half a mile was pitch black. It wasn't that there was no light. All the light was suddenly devoured by this divine bird. These changes were extremely fast, and it was completed within half a breath's time. Not good. The Yin Emperor quickly climbed up from the ground. He didn't care about healing his injuries, and his body turned into a black shadow as he fled towards the abyss. At this moment, the black divine bird let out a high-pitched bird cry. A blazing and terrifying black light was spat out from this divine bird. The blazing black light swept across the entire abyss. It was visible to the naked eye that wherever the black light passed, everything was destroyed inch by inch. In the next moment, it caught up with a gray shadow that was fleeing at high speed. The black light hit the Yin Emperor's lower body that couldn't move in the abyss. Without a sound, the fleshly body of the fleeing gray figure was annihilated by the black light. Ah! The Yin Emperor let out an earth-shattering scream as he suffered an unprecedented injury. His speed suddenly increased, and he actually managed to escape from the black light. After a dozen breaths, the darkness dissipated. The black feathers around 80 withered, and it returned to its ugly appearance. The light on its body was destroyed, and it fell towards the ground with a poochie sound. At this moment, Qin Feng's origin star true power had completely recovered. His expression changed, and he turned into a shadow. In the next moment, he appeared a few feet away and grabbed the falling ugly bird with one hand. The ugly bird was abnormally weak. Its originally shifty eyes were now filled with exhaustion, and the few feathers on its tail were dim. It actually looked like its vitality had been greatly damaged. It raised its head and looked at Qin Feng and called out weakly, "Quack quack, Brother Feng, that guy was hit by my divine ability, Infinite Darkness. He's crippled. The rest is up to you." Quack quack, 80 is so tired. 80 needs to rest well and eat well. This time, I suffered a great loss. It mumbled, closed its eyes, and fell into a deep sleep. After taking a careful look at 80, Qin Feng heaved a sigh of relief. Lord 80 had expended too much of his yuan qi in one go. He was still a fledgling. This little guy was putting on a brave front. Qin Feng stored the thieving bird into the chaos heavens, and a gentle force dragged it to the nest on the tree of chaos. The moment it entered the tree of chaos, a rich yuan qi enveloped it, transforming it into a black egg. Qin Feng turned around and surveyed his surroundings. At that moment, the abyss that was thousands of feet wide had expanded several times. 80's divine ability, Infinite Darkness, was indeed abnormally terrifying. With a single strike, it vaporized everything in a radius of thousands of feet into nothingness. This was even more terrifying than Qin Feng's chaos fire divine power. After all, 80 had just been born, and it was still a fledgling. Chapter 354. 80 was still a fledgling. Executing its innate divine ability was too much of a burden on it. This time, when it unleashed its divine ability, its several months of hard work could be considered to have gone down the drain. If it wasn't for Qin Feng's wealth and the Tree of Chaos, 80 wouldn't be able to recover without a few decades of cultivation. This thieving bird was usually unreliable, but at the crucial moment, Qin Feng had a whole new level of respect for it. Suppressing the emotions in his heart, Qin Feng looked at the gray-robed man who was trying his best to escape a few hundred meters away. Damn it! What kind of bird is that? It is actually so terrifying? The Yin sovereign was scared out of his wits. That ugly bird's aura was obviously that of an ordinary Class 1 savage beast, but it was able to explode with such terrifying power and cripple him, a Sea of Reincarnation realm expert. The lower half of his body was completely vaporized. This ability was simply unimaginable. Could this be a true spirit's fledgling? The Yin sovereign's heart was filled with hatred, jealousy, and even more greed. If he could seize a true spirit's fledgling and execute a secret technique to enslave it, it would be an unimaginable help to him in the future. Even if he couldn't enslave it, killing and refining the essence blood of this true spirit's fledgling would be unimaginably beneficial to his cultivation. The Yin sovereign executed a secret technique and circulated his essence blood. His figure rapidly flew in the opposite direction of the capital of stars. The Yin sovereign knew that he was severely injured and couldn't make a move against Qin Feng right now. This technique and the true spirit's fledgling will temporarily be in the hands of this little bastard. Since he won't be able to escape anyway, once this old man recovers, I will make a comeback. Everything is destined to fall into this old man's hands. The Yin sovereign dragged his injured body. His speed was extremely fast and was like an afterimage that couldn't be seen. Qin Feng stood on the spot without moving. The Yin sovereign was a Sea of Reincarnation realm expert. If such an existence was determined to escape, unless it was an expert of the same realm, no one would be able to catch up. Qin Feng didn't intend to pursue. Qin Feng knew that even if he didn't make a move, this gray-robed man would be dead for sure. Seeing that the Yin sovereign was about to escape from his sight, the Yin sovereign was extremely pleased. Rumble! Suddenly, the void shook and a formless hand slapped down. The Yin sovereign, who was trying to escape, instantly felt as though he had crashed into an iron plate. As if he was swatting a fly, the Yin emperor's figure was sent flying backward. A loud bang was heard. Half of the Yin emperor's body fell 10 steps away from Qin Feng. Poochie! Spurting out a mouthful of blood, the Yin emperor's aura plummeted. He was seriously injured. This attack from the giant hand in the void was even more terrifying than the desperate attacks of Qin Feng and 80. Previously, the extremely arrogant Yin sovereign was like an ant in front of this huge hand. In the void, a formless white light appeared, extended and intertwined. A huge pure white lotus appeared in midair. It was like a bright sun. The pure white light seemed to have evolved into a pure land of light, the kingdom of bliss. An abundant and invisible force froze the void. The Yin emperor, who was struggling, let out a loud bang. Under this force, his bones and tendons shattered inch by inch. He spurted out a mouthful of blood and fainted. Just a strand of energy was transmitted over, and the Sea of Reincarnation realm Yin sovereign was severely injured and on the verge of death. This kind of power was extremely frightening. A seemingly corporeal gaze extended out from the void, landing on Qin Feng. The expression in Qin Feng's eyes changed slightly. He felt as if a huge mountain was pressing down on him. A trace of abnormally terrifying pressure appeared in his heart. This was a martial arts overlord. Qin Feng's expression was neither servile nor overbearing. It was obvious that the huge commotion here had attracted the attention of this martial arts overlord. Qin Feng wasn't surprised by the appearance of this overlord. With the primal chaos tree, Qin Feng was very sensitive to the changes in the void. Not long after 80 used the infinite darkness, Qin Feng sensed the arrival of this overlord. It was just that this overlord had been hiding in the void and hadn't appeared. Now that he saw the Yin Emperor trying to escape, he made a move to stop him. At this moment, swoosh, 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 swoosh. In the distant horizon, dozens of figures broke through the void. Each of them was as fast as lightning, causing the wind and clouds to surge. The figures walked out from the sea of clouds and stood proudly. Most of them were Meridian's condensing realm experts. These were the tyrannical cave masters and mountain lords of the three enclosures' spiritual mountain. There were also a few familiar figures. These were all important figures of All Stars College. Elders! Hall Master! The young experts looked at these figures and hurriedly made a path for them. Qin Feng recognized a few of the important figures. Among them were the 2 Hall Masters of the Heaven's Punishment Hall and a few elders of the Medicine King Hall. Qin Feng, it's you? Many eyes fell on Qin Feng. Many experts recognized Qin Feng's identity. Azure Dragon Institute's first seat. This year's Hidden Dragon ranking champion. A 15-year-old rank 4 alchemist. Medicine King Hall's chief alchemist. Qin Feng was famous in Qin Feng. They looked at the black-clothed youth in surprise. Soon, everyone's gaze was attracted by a hazy figure in midair. Their expressions revealed a trace of shock and surprise. The group of people's eyes had a trace of respect from the bottom of their hearts. Grandmaster Tai Wei. Martial Uncle Tai Wei. Senior Tai Wei. The figures bowed in unison. Qin Feng's eyes drooped and bowed with the crowd, but his heart was very surprised. When this lotus appeared, Qin Feng recognized the identity of this authority. This authority was the terrifying existence that presided over the Hidden Dragon ranking competition. Listening to everyone's greeting, this was actually the Hall Master of the Tai Wei Hall of the 3 Halls of Ziwei. In the pure white sun, the faint light emitted a wave as heavy as a mountain. The Tai Wei Hall Master's eyes fell on Qin Feng. Little guy, I know you. You seem to be the champion of this year's Hidden Dragon ranking. Tell me, what's the matter with this wanted criminal? As soon as these words were spoken, Qin Feng immediately felt all the gazes in the surroundings land on him. Wanted criminal? Qin Feng's eyes fell on the gray-robed man on the ground. The Heaven's Punishment Hall Master, Elder Tian Xing, said. This person's name is Yin Emperor. He's the leader of the Demon Temple's Shadow Tribe. This person is notorious. He's despicable and sinister. He's best at assassination. Many of our All Stars College's geniuses have died under his plots and assassinations. However, Fang Ye is very cunning and cautious. He often escapes far away after missing an attack. We haven't been able to catch him all this time. We've let him get away with it. Hearing this, Qin Feng was silent for a moment before he spoke again. Grandmaster, it's like this. Qin Feng didn't panic under the watchful eyes of the crowd. He told the story of the assassination. Of course, he didn't forget to put the blame on the Yin Emperor for releasing the Qi of the 5 thieves in the Celestial Academy. Once they heard Qin Feng explain the sequence of events, the group of elders could not sit still any longer. This is too much. Someone actually went to the Supreme Palace 3 enclosures to assassinate. He's too arrogant. He actually dared to go to the hinterland of All Stars College to assassinate. And that Aokuan, he actually conspired with outsiders to murder the fellow disciples of All Stars College. He deserves to die. Investigate thoroughly. We must investigate thoroughly. The elders' faces were filled with anger. This was simply a provocation to All Stars College. This was a slap to their faces. One must know that Qin Feng wasn't an ordinary person. A 15-year-old 4th-grade alchemist. As long as such a genius survived, he would most likely advance to a 7th-grade alchemist grandmaster. He might even become a legendary medicine emperor or medicine deity. If he was assassinated, all the elders of All Stars College would have to bear the wrath of the sect. The elders were sweating profusely. At the same time, some of the elders had already felt a terrifying anger coming from the bright sun in the void. Tomorrow is still the same. Chapter 355. Investigate this matter thoroughly. If you can't get to the bottom of this, none of you can be elders anymore. All of you will return to the sect and guard the Devil Sealing Tower. In midair, the Supreme Mystery Hall Master's voice was indifferent, but everyone could feel the coldness in his tone. Yes, Hall Master. The elders were pale. Guarding the Devil Sealing Tower? Wasn't that the same as banishing them to the Cold Palace? Hall Master, don't worry. Even if we have to dig 3 feet into the ground, we will dig out all the henchmen of the Demon Temple. Even if we have to turn the capital of Stars upside down, we won't let any spies go. All the clans and teams involved in this matter must be thoroughly investigated. The elders with high authority expressed their opinions one after another. The brilliance of the pure white sun fluctuated slightly. Qin Feng could clearly feel a gaze landing on him. Little brat, our All Stars College will give you an explanation for this matter. In the next moment, a formless light flew out from the brilliance and landed in front of Qin Feng. Qin Feng's eyes flickered. This was a mysterious silver token. At the moment when this token appeared, Qin Feng's Star Academy's token automatically flew out. The 2 tokens were exuding a layer of faint silver light. Under Qin Feng's gaze, the 2 tokens merged. After a few breaths, a brand new token appeared in front of Qin Feng. Xingqian School's inner disciple, Qin Feng. Qin Feng grabbed the token with one hand and his expression suddenly became shocked. This was actually the Xingqian School's inner disciple token. Little brat, according to the rules of the Xingqian School, the little brat from All Stars College should go through the entrance trial 4 years later and pass the assessment before becoming an outer disciple of Xingqian School. Normally, outer disciples have to work hard for over 10 years, slowly accumulate merits, complete certain missions, and advance to the Sea of Reincarnation realm. Only then will they have the chance to become inner disciples of Xingqian School. However, in view of your talent in alchemy, as well as your assistance in capturing the Yin Emperor, I will make an exception and promote you to an inner disciple. What? Directly promoted to an inner disciple of Xingqian School? He was actually promoted to an inner disciple. Hearing this, all the elders were shocked as they looked at the young man in black. He was directly promoted from All Stars College student who wasn't even an outer disciple to an inner disciple. This was a jump of 3 or 4 levels. One had to know that the status of an inner sect disciple was not inferior to the elders. Among those present, there were many elders who had cultivated bitterly for dozens of years, but they were only inner sect disciples. Qin Feng had soared to the heavens in a single bound. Everyone was shocked and envious. Many elders felt uncomfortable. But thinking about it carefully, some of the elders couldn't help but feel relieved. He was a rank 4 alchemist. According to the sect's rules, rank 4 alchemists who entered the sect were treated as inner disciples. 3 years later, after you have completed the entrance examination of All Stars College, you can directly report to Xingqian School with this token. We are Xingqian School's 28 peaks. You can choose any peak to enter. After saying that, the pure white light rotated in the void and disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. The elders saw the Hall Master of the Supreme Mystery Hall leave and bowed in unison. We respectfully send the Hall Master off. Seeing this martial arts overlord leave, Qin Feng secretly heaved a sigh of relief. The story that Qin Feng made up on the spot obviously had many loopholes. Holding the inner disciple token in his hand, Qin Feng was slightly excited. Inner sect disciple. This was definitely an unexpected gain. After a while, The elders retracted their gazes and landed on the black-clothed youth. Their eyes contained traces of friendly smiles. Although with their status, they were almost at the top of the hierarchy in the Myriad Star Academy, and usually anyone who saw them would have to respectfully greet them. However, the talent displayed by the youth in front of them made them not dare to slight him in any way. A rank 4 alchemist and a preparatory inner disciple. No matter which identity it was enough to show that this youth in front of them was extraordinary. In the future, at the very least, he could become an elder with real power in Xingqian school. In the future, he might even become a true disciple of Xingqian school. True disciples were the true lords of Xingqian school. Every one of them had the qualifications to compete for the position of the headmaster. Every one of them controlled countless inner sect elites and outer sect supporters. One by one, the elders came forward to greet him, and Qin Feng readily accepted. After a while, the elders turned into meteors and left. In the midst of the whistling, powerful existences like meteors landed all around All Stars College. A huge storm began to brew in the entire capital of stars. This time, someone was destined to be unlucky. After a while, only Qin Feng was left. With a flip of his palm, a fist-sized object appeared in Qin Feng's sleeve. It emitted a shocking vitality. The heavenly dragon Sarira. Good stuff. With this object, the 8 Desolation Immortal Mystic Technique will advance to the 2nd level. A trace of passion appeared in his eyes. If the 8 Desolation Immortal Mystic Technique advanced to the 2nd level, Qin Feng's strength would rise to another level. With the regeneration ability of the 2nd level of the 8 Desolation Immortal Body, Qin Feng could immediately recover even if his heart was pierced, unless his head was blown off. He put the heavenly dragon Sarira into his sleeve. Qin Feng played with the brand new All-Stars token. A trace of a smile appeared on Qin Feng's face. With this token, entering the inner sect of Xingqian school was basically a done deal. An inner sect disciple was different from an outer sect disciple. An inner sect disciple was the backbone of a sect. To become an inner sect disciple, one had to go through countless trials, go through investigations, and ensure that one's background was absolutely clean. Every inner sect disciple had a lot of power. If they were sent to some mortal empires or kingdoms, they would be a feudal lord. It was easy to run a 1,000-year-old feudal lord's family. In some empires, the ancestors of many 1,000-year-old families were inner sect disciples of Xingqian school. To this day, they were inextricably linked to Xingqian school. Similar to the 8 great families of Shanha City, some of their ancestors were originally outer sect disciples of Xingqian school. These countless families formed by the disciples of Xingqian school formed the most solid foundation of the outer sect. This was the terror of a 10,000-year-old great sect. All kinds of thoughts flashed through his mind. Qin Feng thought to himself, "Perhaps I should establish a Qin family of my own. Currently, I have a lot of resources in my hands. However, I have no use for these resources. If I don't use them, it would be a waste. Now I can use these resources to establish a family, cultivate my own wings, and take root in the field of all stars." Qin Feng was now the peak master of Scarlet Sky Peak, the chief alchemist of Medicine King Hall, and an inner sect disciple of Xingqian school. No matter what identity he had, with the resources in his hands, he could easily establish a 1,000-year-old family. These 1,000-year-old families should not be underestimated. Although their strength might not be enough in Qin Feng's eyes, their control of resources and monopolization were enough to tempt him. Qin Gang and Qin Shou are not bad. Although their strength is slightly lacking, they are diligent people. I am loyal and devoted. After a few years of training, I can send them back to Shanha City to rebuild the branch family. All kinds of thoughts flashed through Qin Feng's mind. He temporarily suppressed this sudden thought. Currently, the most important thing is to return to Scarlet Sky Peak to cultivate and condense the 12 types of spiritual fire. Within 2 months, I will completely master the primal chaos fire great divine ability. 2 months later, the All-Stars College's quadrennial martial assembly will begin. I think those fellows who obtained the star imprint will appear one by one. Even those sea of reincarnation experts on the stars ranking. This is the first update. There are still 3 more updates. Chapter 356. All-Stars College. Not long after Een Emperor was captured. In a courtyard. Lady Flower Empress, Lord Een Emperor has failed. What should we do? A group of black-robed men stood below the stairs. They were all wrapped in black robes and didn't panic at all. Een Emperor is indeed a trash. This madam has already said that we should bring more subordinates, just in case. Even a lion needs to use all its strength to catch a rabbit. He was so full of himself that he thought we were going to take his credit. He was seeking his own death. He can't blame anyone. Her phoenix eyes revealed a trace of a sneer as she glanced at the group of black-robed men and said, "As for the rest, you don't have to worry about it. This madam has already thought of a way out for you." The leader of the black-robed assassins said respectfully, "Lady Flower Empress, please tell us." Cut off the tail and escape. The beautiful madam's red lips lightly spat out. She was indescribably beautiful. This subordinate understands. This subordinate will immediately order people to clean up those tails. The black-robed man waved his hand. Instantly, a small group of black-robed men silently disappeared from the courtyard. "Madam, should we cancel the following mission?" "There's no need for that. Although Qin Feng has temporarily entered the 3-crate myrtle enclosure, it won't be long before the All-Stars College's quadrennial All-Star Martial Assembly. As the head of the Azure Dragon College, he definitely won't have stage fright." The Flower Empress' long and narrow phoenix eyes narrowed slightly. Her long eyelashes trembled. She wore a long black dress and her body swayed. She was indescribably charming. The black-robed man said with a calm gaze. "But Lady Flower Empress, after experiencing this assassination, I'm afraid All-Stars College won't give us another chance to make a move." "Ancia, you don't have to move. If you want to kill someone, you don't have to personally fight. This is just a last resort." After several probing, this madam already has a certain understanding of Qin Feng's character. The Flower Empress smiled sweetly. This madam found a huge weakness of his? What weakness? A tender heart for the fairer sex. The Flower Empress smiled faintly. Her beautiful eyes revealed a faint trace of coldness. "This madam will personally make a move this time." Yi residence. An incomparably handsome young man in white was surrounded by a crowd of women. There were actually more than 10 of them, and each of them was an outstanding beauty. Some were graceful, some were beautiful, some were dignified, and some were petite and cute. There were all kinds of beauties, thin and round. Husband, this time around, that Qin Feng managed to escape the calamity. That brat's life is truly tenacious. Even under the deliberate sneak attack of a Sea of Reincarnation realm expert, he actually managed to escape with his life. Husband's eyesight is truly as bright as a torch. The one who spoke was a mature and beautiful woman. Her every movement revealed the charm of a mature woman, like a ripe peach. At this moment, a large hand suddenly grabbed her waist. The beautiful woman let out a delicate cry and involuntarily fell into Yi Ding's embrace. Yi Ding's hand skillfully reached into the beautiful woman's chest and lightly fiddled with it. The beautiful woman immediately let out a soft cry of surprise. Her beautiful face was hazy, and her beautiful eyes were like water. "Little rascal, stop fooling around. The sisters are all watching. Sister Qin, I think you can't wait to enjoy your husband's love. How can you still care about the sisters?" Beside Yi Ding, a delicate young lady sized up Dongfang Qin with her charming eyes and giggled. Yi Ding's originally calm expression melted like ice under the scorching sun. He rubbed the space between his eyebrows as if he was helpless against this delicate young lady. "Yener, stop fooling around. A dignified beauty who looked like she was 28 or 29 years old glared at the delicate young lady. The delicate young lady pouted her mouth and said, "Mother is siding with husband again." The dignified beauty looked at the delicate young lady helplessly. When her beautiful eyes landed on Yi Ding, she said, "Husband, in my opinion, Qin Feng's growth is too fast. I think husband needs to prepare early." "I'm a little worried," Yun Yen said indifferently. "What's there to be afraid of? That Qin Feng is just a brat. Although he's also a grade 4 alchemist, his strength can't even be compared to husband's. Husband is a big shot in the sea of reincarnation realm. If you want to kill such a person, you can pinch him to death with just a finger." Yu Furong's expression was stern. The delicate young lady was so frightened that she stuck out her tongue. She didn't dare to look at her mother, who had always been very dignified. Another cold and elegant young lady also spoke. "Big sister is right. Husband, don't underestimate this Qin Feng. This Qin Feng can survive the sneak attack of a Sea of Reincarnation realm expert. It's enough to show how powerful he is. If he's given time to grow, he'll definitely be a disaster. However, it's fortunate that he's still in husband's hands. But in order to prevent the unexpected, in my opinion, we should use some means to control him." All the ladies looked at the elegant young lady. This young lady had always been known for her wisdom in Yi Ding's harem. Usually, she was Yi Ding's military advisor. "Princess, what brilliant plan do you have?" Yi Ding looked at the elegant young lady with interest. His eyes revealed a trace of a smile. This young lady was the princess of the Zijin kingdom. She was the #1 beauty of the Zijin kingdom. Back then, there was no one who didn't know her in the Zijin kingdom. This young lady was born in the royal family. When she was young, she entered a sect called the Dark Ice Sect. She was a direct disciple of the sect, and was proficient in both literature and martial arts. She was the famous martial goddess of the Zijin kingdom. How arrogant and elegant she was! There were countless people who pursued her. Among them, there was no lack of peerless geniuses from the Xingqian school. Back then, Yi Ding was just an ordinary warrior. Facing his pursuit, the young lady naturally rejected him in every possible way. She even pursued him many times. However, in the end, she still fell into his hands and obediently became a member of his harem. Even the queen of the Zijin kingdom was unknowingly taken care of by him. Thinking of the taste of the queen of the Zijin kingdom, and looking at the young lady's beautiful face that was extremely similar to the queen's, Yi Ding's heart swayed. The strongest fortress is usually breached from the inside. I have already sent people to contact the 3 outer sect disciples of the Scarlet Sky Peak. Those 3 outer sect disciples are from clans. I believe that with my husband's influence, those 3 outer sect disciples should know how to choose. I heard that Qin Feng, that brat, trusts those 3 outer sect disciples a lot. When he is in seclusion, all the matters are taken care of by those 3 outer sect disciples. If those 3 outer sect disciples pledge allegiance to my husband, wouldn't it be easy to do anything in that brat Qin Feng's headquarters? Elder sister Yu Xian is indeed worthy of the title of martial goddess. Just this action alone will allow us to easily grasp all the movements in that brat Qin Feng's headquarters. Princess Yu Xian's eyes were cold. This is still not enough. Since my husband used Qin Feng as a whetstone and made him an extraterritorial demon, just monitoring him is not enough. We must completely control this brat's fate. This is just like my royal hunting grounds prey. We have to circle a forest to ensure their wild nature and give them space to survive and grow. However, we must absolutely control them and not let them run out of the hunting ground. At the same time, we must also reduce their threat to the lowest. Finally, when they grow fat, it will be more convenient to hunt them. I heard that my husband has obtained a strange item which can be used to secretly control this brat. In the future, at the crucial moment, we can reverse the outcome of the battle. Third update, fourth update. Chapter 357. 1 month later, on the Dow condensing stage of the Scarlet Sky Peak, Qin Feng was dressed in black, and a strong power of calamity was being nurtured within his body. Rumble. Under the influence of this power of calamity, Qin Feng's pores faintly emitted a flame power that could even melt the void. Qin Feng opened his eyes, and there was a ball of chaotic flame burning in his eyes. It was as if countless fires in the world were playing out in his eyes. The art of primal chaos stars slowly circulated, and fire spiritual veins rushed out from Qin Feng's body one after another. 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9 A total of 10 spiritual veins formed purely from spiritual fire appeared around Qin Feng's body. A total of 10 supreme-grade spiritual veins. An extremely terrifying power fluctuated around the black-clothed youth, and the surrounding air was torn into pieces by this power, as if the entire void was about to burn. 1 month had passed, and other than occasionally entering the Milky Way to cultivate, Qin Feng spent the rest of his time condensing spiritual fire. In addition to the original 5 spiritual fires, Qin Feng successively condensed the Cyan Luan True Fire, Scale Blood True Fire, Cyan Lotus Demonic Fire, Nanming Primordial Fire, and Tai Cyan Fire. A total of 10 supreme-grade spiritual fires. Qin Feng was several times stronger than a month ago, and the aura emitted from his body carried a strong flame with every breath, as if he was a body of fire. In fact, although Qin Feng could not be called the fire god after condensing more than 10 types of flame power, he had already touched upon a trace of the law of fire. The star true force in his body surged like a great river, and this surging true force was 3 to 4 times stronger than half a month ago. The most important thing was the trace of demonic godlike aura emitted from his physique. Within Qin Feng's body, countless blood qi was shuttling through his meridians, bones, and tendons. A tyrannical life force penetrated between his internal organs and every part of his body. The rich life force almost formed a rich flame of life in his heart. This was the second level of the 8 Desolation Indestructible Mystic Technique. After refining the heavenly dragon Sarira, Qin Feng's 8 Desolation Indestructible Mystic Art advanced to the second level without a hitch. The second level of the 8 Desolate Immortal Body was several times more tyrannical than the first level. Even if Qin Feng were to be attacked by a pulse condensation period powerhouse, he feared that a normal pulse condensation period powerhouse wouldn't be able to harm him. In short, with the primeval star as his natal star, Qin Feng's cultivation went smoothly beyond imagination. There's still a month before the All-Star Martial competition. I wonder if I'll be able to completely condense and cultivate the 12 spirit veins in a month's time. Qin Feng's eyes revealed a trace of burning desire. After condensing 12 types of spiritual fire, the primal chaos flame divine ability would reach the small success stage. The small success primal chaos flame divine ability would undergo a qualitative change. Qin Feng estimated that by then, the 12 lesser fire element divine abilities would be completely combined into one. By then, this divine ability would become another trump card in his hand after the 13 swords of Daluo. Young master, congratulations on advancing a step further in your cultivation. Suddenly, a fragrant wind assaulted him. On the distant shallow beach, a graceful young girl in red clothes moved lightly. After a few breaths of time, she appeared several meters away. Her red clothes were like fire, her figure was tall, and the breeze blew her long hair. She was brimming with youth, bright and beautiful. Qin Feng opened his eyes, and his gaze fell on the jade tray in the young girl's hand. Qin Feng chuckled lightly. Little girl, I already said that I don't need to eat these mortal things anymore. You don't have to be busy. At the side, Qin Shou glanced at the young girl in red, who had a slightly gloomy expression, and hurriedly said, Young master, the lotus seed soup that Miss Honglian is carrying isn't simple. This lotus seed soup was secretly made by Miss Hong Lian by gathering the lotus seeds of the clear water golden lotus in the heavenly lake and the dew with the most spiritual energy in the morning. Is that so? Qin Feng stood up from the Tao manifestation platform. His figure flashed and appeared in front of Hong Lian. He took the lotus seed soup that was emitting a fragrant fragrance from the tray and casually rubbed the young girl's hair in front of her coquettishly angry eyes. Qin Feng gently picked up the spoon and took a small sip. It was smooth in the mouth and fragrant in the mouth. A dense spiritual energy flowed into his abdomen. This was a rich spiritual energy that contained the aura of Yi wood. This spiritual energy spread into his internal organs and faintly made Qin Feng's face reveal a trace of sparkling brilliance. Good stuff. Qin Feng praised in his heart. The lotus seeds of the clear water golden lotus in the heavenly lake on the heavenly scarlet peak had the effect of clearing heat and detoxifying it. With so many lotus seeds and the secret recipe of the clear water golden lotus, if an ordinary person consumed it, they would definitely be able to stay young forever. Little girls' culinary skills are getting better and better. Qin Feng casually put down the jade bowl. The red-cloved young girl's cheeks flushed red. Hearing her young master's praise, her big watery eyes were filled with joy. However, you can't give up on your cultivation. It has been a month and you have only broken through to the 7th heavenly layer of the martial Tao. In half a year, All Stars College will be recruiting new students. You must not slack off. Qin Feng was a little serious. All Stars College in the capital of stars would normally recruit students once a year. The students were recruited from the 36 constellation cities at the periphery of the capital of stars. Of course, in some countries that were further away from the capital of stars, they would recruit students once every 2 years and once every 3 years. The further away they were from the capital of stars, the longer the gap between each recruitment. As the saying goes, at the foot of the Son of Heaven, the status of the unruly commoners was one level higher. Qin Feng intended to let Hong Lian participate in the next All Stars College recruitment trial. However, Hong Lian, this little girl, had been slacking off ever since she came to his side. It seems like I have to think of a way to let Hong Lian stand on her own. True experts are born on the border of life and death. If I keep protecting her, even if she awakens the power of the Bloody Queen, she won't be able to become a true expert. Qin Feng thought inwardly. His expression was a little serious. A greenhouse wouldn't be able to nurture a true tiger. As for whether Hong Lian would suffer a calamity because of this, Qin Feng was certain. Even if everyone else died, Hong Lian wouldn't die. The Bloody Queen's reincarnation was a huge accumulation that ordinary people couldn't imagine. At this moment, a group of people hurried over from the lakeside. The few people present turned around and a few familiar figures appeared in their field of vision. At the side, Qin Shou's gaze swept over the newcomers. A cold smile flashed in his eyes as he spat in his heart. Traitor! Luan Xiaochuan, Su Jie, and Zhao Yuan appeared in front of Qin Feng. The three of them had respectful expressions. Behind them were many high-grade alchemists. Compared to a month ago, these high-grade alchemists had a few new faces. Many of them were recruited half a month ago when Scarlet Sky Peak expanded. Luan Xiaochuan and the others were the ones in charge. What's the matter? Qin Feng's gaze landed on the three outer disciples. A wisp of silver light flickered in his eyes and landed on them. Luan Xiaochuan and the others felt that this gaze seemed to see through the depths of their hearts and understood everything. In front of this gaze, no secret could be concealed. Some of the dark places in the depths of their hearts were exposed under this gaze. After a few breaths, this gaze moved away. The three of them heaved a sigh of relief. Their foreheads were covered in sweat. Unknowingly, their backs were drenched in sweat. They didn't know if it was an illusion, but the three of them felt that the aura emitted from Qin Feng's body was getting stronger day by day. Hearing this, they felt as heavy as a mountain. A trace of fear flashed in Luan Xiaochuan's eyes. he suppressed the discomfort in his heart and said, "Reporting to Peak Master, the alchemy courtyard has been completed 1.5 months ago. The underground fire passage has also been opened. Elder Qing Mu sent someone to deliver a pill furnace today." Elder Qing Mu asked when Peak Master could start refining pills, so that he could send someone to deliver the spiritual herbs. After muttering to himself for a while, Qin Feng said indifferently, "Open the furnace in 2 days." "Yes, Peak Master." With a guilty conscience, after reporting some trivial matters, the three of them turned around and were about to leave. Qin Feng said indifferently as his gaze landed on the three people who were about to leave, "Apart from this, don't you have anything else to clarify?" Chapter 358. Qin Feng, who had reversed the whirling golden light curse and created the primitive demon heart sutra, could be called the ancestor of demons. He called himself the second demon ancestor. Although he was blowing his own trumpet, Qin Feng truly had the ability. The primitive demon heart sutra was Deshang. Qin Feng could use the 7 emotions and 6 desires in his body to continuously refine all kinds of demons. At its peak, the abyss demon diagram was filled with countless demons: earth demon, ghost demon, Yin demon, succubus, yang demon, blood demon, fiend demon, heart demon, moon demon, dragon demon, purgatory demon, and many other demons had gathered. Although after his rebirth, Qin Feng had just broken through to the meridian's condensation stage and could not create any profound demons, it was easy for him to refine some simple heart demons. Since half a month ago, Qin Feng had felt that the 3 outer sect disciples, who were originally loyal to him, had some changes in their mentality. Because of the problem of strength, Qin Feng was not prepared to understand all the thoughts of the 3 outer sect disciples, but he could clearly feel that these people had different thoughts in their minds. His gaze fell on the 3 people. Qin Feng could feel the fierce struggle in their hearts. Countless thoughts collided like a tide. Under this kind of drastic change, their auras began to shake like huge waves in a lake. A sense of panic appeared in their hearts. Countless negative emotions were revealed. Their hearts began to beat faster, their muscles tightened, and the true energy in their bodies condensed like rolling thunder. "Is this a desperate situation?" With a strange light in his eyes, Qin Feng took in the changes in the 3 people. Qin Feng's eyes flashed with a trace of scorching flames. These flames were like a boundless river, gushing forth, blotting out the sky and covering the earth. If Luan Xiaochuan and the others had any strange movements, they would be instantly killed by this river of flames. Whoosh whoosh. Beads of sweat appeared on the foreheads of Luan Xiaochuan and the others. In an instant, the 3 of them seemed to have fallen into the abyss of purgatory as countless flames wrapped around them. This was a crushing of the soul. At this moment, the 3 of them realized how terrifying this Peak Master was. Plop! Luan Xiaochuan, Su Jie, and Zhao Yuan instantly collapsed to the ground. At the same time, the dozen or so high-level alchemists behind them instantly fainted. These people were directly knocked unconscious by the crushing of their souls. "Peak Lord, this disciple deserves to die." The 3 of them knelt down together. Suddenly, the 3 of them raised their heads and looked at the other 2. Then, they looked at each other with shock in their eyes. "Could it be that you guys are also?" The 3 of them were shocked. "Young master, you don't have to show mercy to these 3 traitors. I suggest that you kill them on the spot and slaughter their entire families as a warning to others." The 3 of them turned pale in an instant. They turned around and glared at Qin Gang, who was striding towards them. "What are all of you looking at? You 3 thieves that forget righteousness in the face of profit actually dared to collude with the enemy in secret. Do you really think that all of you can do whatever you want in Crimson Sky Peak?" Qin Shou laughed coldly. Possessing the innate ability to communicate with various spiritual objects, there was nothing in the entire Scarlet Sky Peak that could escape Qin Shou's eyes. Especially after receiving the many benefits bestowed by Qin Feng recently, his strength had improved greatly. His innate ability had also improved by leaps and bounds. Every single change in the surroundings of Crimson Sky Peak was within his eyes and reported to Qin Feng one by one. These people thought that their methods were exceedingly powerful, but in reality, everything in Crimson Sky Peak was within the eyes of their Peak Lord. The three of them turned pale. This was the extermination of the two clan. The three of them panicked. Peak Lord, please spare our lives. Please listen to our explanation. We were also coerced. The lives of our clans are in the hands of those people. We had no choice but to submit. However, we have never betrayed Crimson Sky Peak or even Peak Lord's interest. Peak Lord, please understand. We can swear that if we betrayed Peak Lord, Luan Xiaochuan's cultivation will never improve in the slightest for the rest of his life and will be destroyed by the heavens and earth. There was a loud bang. Luan Xiaochuan took a step forward and heavily knocked his head on the stone platform. His forehead was blood-red. Peak Lord, we were also forced to do so. They used a sinister secret technique on us. If we didn't do so, we would have died and our clans would have been completely annihilated. Su Jie's heart was filled with panic. His sallow face was filled with guilt as he gritted his teeth and said, "However, in all honesty, we have never done anything that would harm Crimson Sky Peak." Beside the two of them, the wooden Zhao Yuan also repeatedly kowtowed. Qin Gang's eyes flickered as he glanced at Qin Feng. After receiving Qin Feng's signal, he immediately sneered and said, "Traitors, ask yourselves honestly, how many benefits have you received from Crimson Sky Peak? High-grade spirit pellets, spirit herbs, top-grade spirit wine, rare cultivation technique. Perhaps you've been living too comfortably and have forgotten the Peak Lord's kindness." The three of them were ashamed. Looking at Qin Shou, Qin Gang, and Qin Feng who were playing the role of the bad guy, he inwardly signaled, "It's about time." Seeing Qin Feng's signal, Qin Shou and Qin Gang immediately stopped talking. At this time, Yu Yao, Zhou Yuxian, Yin Lihua, and the other women walked over with a solemn expression on their faces. Lu Chunyang, Du Pingxia, Li Zhuang, and the others had chosen to leave Crimson Sky Peak after Ao Kuan died in battle. For some unknown reason, Yu Yao chose to stay behind. After Qin Feng's operation, the three of them were now outer disciples of Crimson Sky Peak. They were all subordinates of Qin Feng and each had their own duties. Yu Yao glanced at the three people who were kneeling on the ground with teary faces and said, "Young lord, in my opinion, these three senior brothers must have their own difficulties. According to our observation, although the three of them have been in contact with those people in the past half a month, they must have been under coercion. However, they did not betray young lord." The three's eyes lit up as they looked at Yu Yao gratefully. The three of them looked at Qin Feng with pleading eyes. The current Qin Feng was not just the Azure Dragon Institute's first seat. Moreover, he was a Grade 4 alchemist. As a Grade 4 alchemist, there were countless people waiting to curry favor with him. If Qin Feng really wanted to vent his anger on their families, as long as he revealed the slightest intention, there was no need for Qin Feng to make a move. The surrounding families would help to take action. To be able to befriend a 15-year-old Grade 4 alchemist, there were probably many people looking for an opportunity. Qin Gang glanced coldly at Yu Yao and sneered. "What difficulties? If they are truly loyal, why would they hide it from us? If they have any difficulties or are threatened, they should immediately report it to young lord. I think they are clearly harboring evil intentions and are blinded by greed. Such people should be killed immediately as an example to others. Otherwise, who would be loyal to young lord in the future?" "All right, I know what happened to all of you." At this moment Qin Feng spoke. Qin Feng glanced at Luan Xiaochuan and the other two. "I already understand your thoughts. Although you were coerced, your loyalty is commendable. Although you have some selfish motives, you have not betrayed me. This is worthy of commendation." The three of them heaved a sigh of relief when they heard this. They looked at their peak master with grateful eyes and felt deeply moved. They felt that all of their persistence had been affirmed. A gentleman dies for his bosom friend. If the other party treats me like a gentleman, I will repay him with a gentleman. At this moment, the loyalty of the three reached the peak. If Qin Feng ordered the three of them to commit suicide, the three of them would definitely not object. In the next moment, Qin Feng spoke again. However, the method is wrong. That person came for my scarlet peak for me. If you were to hide it, wouldn't it cause my scarlet peak to suffer losses? He is in the dark while I am in the light. If you were to report all of this to me, the situation would be different. I might be able to use the information I obtained from you to reverse the situation. Not only would I be able to protect all of your belongings, I might even be able to use you as an opportunity to plot against the existence that is secretly targeting my scarlet peak. Qin Feng spoke leisurely and eloquently. His words were even more powerful than any secret enlightenment technique. The three of them were ashamed and scared, but most of all they were touched. The three of them were in a very mysterious state. In an instant, they went from being on the verge of betraying to being loyal. Qin Feng took in the changes in the three of them without batting an eyelid. Peak Master, we were wrong. We will report all of this to Peak Master now. This is the first update, there are still 3 more. I fell asleep yesterday, cough cough, so I missed one update. I will make up for all the updates I owe in September. Chapter 359. They said they're from the 5 Elements Battle Team, and their backer is the 5 Elements Battle Master, Tan Mingfeng. They want us to pay attention to the Peak Master's words and actions, as well as his cultivation progress. They also want us to immediately report to them where the Peak Master is going. Listening to the three's narration, Qin Feng's expression changed. The 5 Elements Battle Master, Tan Mingfeng, was very famous in All Stars College. He was this year's 5 Elements Battle Team's leader. The 5 Elements Battle Team had been passed down for hundreds of years, and the leader of each generation was called the 5 Elements Battle Master. After they stepped down and entered the Star Sect, the strongest cultivator in the 5 Elements Battle Team would succeed them and take over the title of 5 Elements Battle Master. The 5 elemental battle masters of each generation were all astonishingly talented individuals with terrifying strength. According to the information Qin Feng obtained, this Tan Mingfeng was one of the top few 5 elements battle masters in history. His strength was abnormally terrifying. He was the popular champion of this year's All-Star Martial Competition. It was rumored that many tyrannical existences in Xingqian School had extended an olive branch to him. However, this person had already entered the depths of the Blood River secret realm to cultivate alone a year ago. It was only a few days ago that Tan Mingfeng returned to All Stars College. However, Qin Feng was certain that it was definitely not this person. The entire 5 Elements Battle Team was already in the eye of the storm because of Aokuan. Almost every day, there were 5 Elements Battle Team students being taken away by All Stars College's elders for investigation. The current 5 Elements Battle Master was the focus of attention, and who knew how many tyrannical elders had their eyes on this person. Even if this Tan Mingfeng had 3 heads and 6 arms, he wouldn't dare to provoke Qin Feng at this time. Otherwise, those tyrannical existences in Xingqian School wouldn't be able to protect this person. Looks like there must be someone else playing tricks behind the scenes, and this exposed Tan Mingfeng is just a cover. Pondering in his heart, Qin Feng couldn't figure it out no matter how he thought about it. A tall tree attracts the wind, and Qin Feng had made too many enemies. However, since that person is using Luan Xiaochuan, Su Jie, and Zhao Yuan as chess pieces, as long as today's matter is not exposed, that person will definitely come to contact Luan Xiaochuan, Su Jie, and Zhao Yuan. Qin Feng pondered for a moment. Suddenly, a black gas appeared in his palm. This was the 5-een heart devil that Qin Feng refined according to the ancient heart devil scripture. This was the weakest type of heart demon. Above this type of heart demon were the 9-een heart demon, profound-een heavenly demon, formless heavenly demon, and freedom demon king. This 5-een heart demon was formless and invisible, lurking in one's heart. If one did not pay attention to it, it would slowly merge into the host's mind and completely corrode the martial artist's mind. In the end, he became a devil that obeyed Qin Feng's orders. Of course, the 5-een inner devil looked very scary, but Qin Feng, who had refined this kind of devil, knew that there were countless ways to restrain it. For example, the whirling golden light mantra that Red Lotus cultivated. After pondering for a while, Qin Feng's eyes fell on Luan Xiaochuan and the others. "You guys come here and stretch out your hands." After a slight hesitation, the 3 of them walked in front of Qin Feng. They rolled up their sleeves, stretched out their hands, and opened their palms. Qin Feng's eyes flickered, and the black gas on his palms suddenly rotated, turning into 3 small black gas, slowly sinking into the skin of the 3 people's palms, forming a mountain-like pitch-black datura mark on the palms of the 3 people. Strange and mysterious. "Peak Master, this is?" Luan Xiaochuan's eyes fell on his palm, and he looked a little puzzled. "This is a secret mark. If that person continues to contact you in the future, find a way to get within 3 feet of that person and activate this secret mark with your genuine qi. As long as you are within 3 feet, this secret mark will automatically sink into that person's body according to your will." This was actually a heart devil mark. Once possessed by the heart devil mark, Qin Feng would naturally know who that person's master was, and then follow the clues to find the mastermind behind the scenes. At this time, Yi Ding still didn't know what kind of existence he had provoked. He actually used Qin Feng, the ancestor of the demonic path, as an extraterrestrial demon to temper himself. This was simply. Qin Feng glanced at the few people who had calmed down a little and said, "Next, you guys will pretend that you haven't been discovered by me. As usual, if they give you any benefits, take it all. Don't be afraid. As for the information they want, Yu Yao will tell you how to deal with them." The 3 of them glanced at the beautiful girl standing by the side and nodded. "Yes, Peak Master. As for the curse on your body, it's just a small trick. You don't have to worry. When it comes to curses, I'm the ancestor of this path. I can remove this kind of small curse for you anytime, anywhere. However, you still need to continue carrying this secret curse. Otherwise, once the person in the dark notices it, it will alert the enemy. It won't be good." "Yes." Hearing this, the 3 of them were overjoyed. This trick on their body was like a hoop curse to them. The secret curse. On the side, Yu Yao was secretly shocked. As everyone knew, among the dark attribute secret skills, the secret curse was the most mysterious and difficult to deal with. It was simply a nightmare to encounter an expert of the same level who cultivated the secret curse. Even many big shots would have a headache and be wary of this kind of expert who cultivated the secret curse. The more she learned about Qin Feng, the more mysterious she found Qin Feng to be. Yu Yao was curious about Qin Feng from the bottom of her heart. According to Yu Yao's understanding, Qin Feng was not only a level 4 alchemist, but also a level 1 mystic master. Now, he was proficient in the most mysterious secret curse. Qin Feng was not even 15 years old. This was simply unheard of. Yu Yao's face was expressionless as she thought to herself, could it be that Qin Feng is the reincarnation of some ancient heaven's pride? Last time, I heard a few heaven's prides from the Sky Sea Pavilion inadvertently mention that countless terrifying peerless heaven's prides will be born. Even fallen gods will be reincarnated in this world. Could Qin Feng be one of them? After a while, the 3 of them left, and the high-grade alchemists woke up one after another. Qin Feng prepared to continue cultivating in seclusion. At this moment, there was less than a month before the martial arts competition. The All-Stars College Martial Arts Competition was an opportunity to test one's cultivation. It was also a clash between prodigies. Of course, the most tempting thing was the rewards. According to the All-Stars College's tradition, the top 10 of the All-Stars College Martial Arts Competition would have the qualifications to enter the Xingqian School's ancestral hall to be apprenticed. The 28 peaks of the Xingqian School, including the moon reflection peak where the headmaster resided, could be chosen. This was the true treatment of inner court disciples. However, this was different from ordinary inner court disciples. This was like being a disciple of a large family, but you were a branch family member and I was a direct descendant. Since ancient times, the direct descendant had been in charge. Qin Feng was also an inner court disciple, but the treatment he received was far worse than the direct descendant inner court disciples who had the peak masters as their backing. The status was the same, but the status was different. Moreover, it was rumored that on the day of the apprenticeship ceremony in the Xingqian School's ancestral hall, there would be antiques close to the Godfiend realm. If one could become a disciple of such an existence, then even a true disciple would have to be wary. In addition, the top 10 would receive other generous rewards, such as spiritual items, cultivation methods, and some real power. Qin Feng had heard that for a few years, the Star Academy had even taken out a few huge ancient cities to give to some gifted disciples as fiefs. A real ancient city would definitely not be smaller than the mountain river city that Qin Feng had seen. If one could establish a foothold in an ancient city, it would be easy to establish a 1,000-year-old clan. Being respected as an ancestor was the dream of many martial artists. Right when Qin Feng was preparing to enter into seclusion and cultivate. Half a day later, Bai Yun and Yunemo appeared together beneath Scarlet Peak, and they brought a piece of news that caused Qin Feng to have no choice but to stop cultivating. A great fortune has appeared in the River of Stars? Chapter 360. Beside the heavenly lake, in the newly built Endless Palace, two charming girls were sizing up Qin Feng. Qin Feng was also sizing up the two girls. After not seeing them for more than a month, the aura of the two girls had become more powerful. Obviously, there was another opportunity. The two girls had a trace of decisive killing aura. Qin Feng guessed that they must have experienced a killing experience not long ago. Qin Feng sensed a light and elegant aura from Bai Yun. He could tell that Bai Yun had at least condensed more than 20 wind attribute high-grade spirit veins. This senior sister Bai Yun had profound attainments in the wind attribute before, and now she had reached a higher level. This senior sister Bai Yun should have just succeeded in cultivating an extremely profound wind attribute divine ability. However, because she had just cultivated it, her aura leaked out, causing the air around her to vibrate uncontrollably. Yunemo was wearing a black dress. The girl's cold elegance had a pure charm that could move one's heart. Yunemo cultivated a rare soul attribute secret technique. She was proficient in many spiritual techniques. Junior brother, this time our big opportunity has come. There are experts in Xingqian School speculating that there will be an extremely rare starlight spiritual dynasty in the first layer of the Star River. The girl in white's beautiful eyes shone with a trace of uncontrollable joy. Yes, a rare opportunity. Someone ran to a certain pervert as soon as she got the news. The girl in black dress snorted softly. Junior sister. The girl in white's pretty face blushed. Don't talk nonsense. Yunemo was dissatisfied. What nonsense are you spouting? You've done a good deed yet you're still hiding it. A certain someone might not appreciate your kindness. He's very straightforward. A pretty maid, a beautiful mermaid. I heard that he even met many beauties in the Hidden Dragon Points competition. He even captured a stunning beauty from the dark heavenly lion race. Hugging left and right, how happy! With a trace of embarrassment on his face, Qin Feng glanced at senior sister Bai Yun. Senior sister Bai Yun just happened to look at him quietly and met Qin Feng's black eyes that were as bright as stars. The girl's charming skin revealed a trace of pink. She glared at her good friend beside her, and her gaze fell on Qin Feng as she spoke. Junior brother, don't listen to junior sister Yun Mo's nonsense. What plans do you have for this starlight spirit tide? Hearing this, Qin Feng's expression relaxed. In fact, how could Qin Feng not know what Bai Yun meant? It was just that matters of the heart were the most troublesome. He couldn't cut it, and it was a mess. To be honest, Qin Feng did not have any improper thoughts about senior sister Bai Yun. The combination of martial arts experts was different from that of ordinary people. When a normal person's feelings were broken, they would suffer for at most 100 years. However, martial artists usually had long lifespans. If something went wrong, they would be entangled for 1,000 years, or even 10,000 years, or even until the end of time. If it weren't for the fact that both of them were in love with each other, Qin Feng really didn't want to provoke a love debt. Seeing that Bai Yun took the initiative to change the topic, Qin Feng quickly said, "This starlight spirit tide is a great opportunity that is hard to come by in 1,000 years. It is said that this starlight spirit tide is a great phenomenon formed by the infinite starlight church in the galaxy. Every starlight spirit tide, countless nebula beasts will gather. If you are lucky, you can even get rare star crystals and star soul essences from the starlight spirit tide. Those are the most precious treasures to condense mental power." Sighing, Qin Feng did not hide his shock at the appearance of the starlight spirit tide. Bai Yun said, "Indeed, every starlight spirit tide is a grand event for us Star Tao experts. In the starlight spirit tide, the star qi will deposit into a river. Countless nebula beasts will appear in the starlight spirit tide. Not to mention killing a few nebula beasts, just the star qi gathered in the starlight spirit tide will make our cultivation take a big step forward." Yunemo glanced at Bai Yun and Qin Feng, snorted and said, "You have to be alive to absorb the star qi in the starlight spirit tide. The starlight spirit tide contains countless tyrannical nebula beasts. It is said that there are terrifying level 5 nebula beasts, level 6 ancient nebula beasts, and even level 7 ancient nebula beasts. As long as those ancient nebula beasts come close, a sneeze from them can turn a meridian's condensing stage expert into ashes. This is not the most dangerous thing." Bai Yun frowned, with a trace of worry in her beautiful eyes. When the starlight spirit tide erupts, not only the experts of Xingqian School, but also the experts of Sun Moon Sword Sect, Tianliang Sect, and Hunyuan Sect will appear. At that time it will be chaotic. Even other small branches will appear. In short, I am afraid there will be a big mess. After pondering for a while, Qin Feng looked at Bai Yun and said, "Senior sister Bai Yun, has Xingqian School calculated the specific time of the starlight spirit tide?" 3 days later. "This is a good opportunity." Qin Feng's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. "What do you think?" Qin Feng's eyes fell on Bai Yun and Yunemo. Obviously, Bai Yun and Yunemo did not come here just to pass the news to him. Bai Yun and Yunemo looked at each other. After a while, Bai Yun said, "Junior brother, you already know that we are members of the Sky Sea Pavilion. This time, we would like to invite you to hunt together." "Sky Sea Pavilion?" Qin Feng frowned. Showing a trace of pride, the girl in the black dress' beautiful eyes revealed a trace of pride. "Stinky pervert, you are so lucky this time to be favored by the pavilion leader of the Sky Sea Pavilion. With the protection of the Sky Sea Pavilion, this starlight spirit tide will benefit you immensely. Junior sister." Hearing Yun Mo's tone, Bai Yun knew something was wrong. "I am so lucky?" Qin Feng glanced at the proud girl in the black dress, and a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. Qin Feng's eyes fell on the girl in white. "Senior sister Bai Yun, thank you for telling me such important news. Qin Feng appreciates the pavilion leader's kindness, but Qin Feng is used to being free and cannot be restrained. I can only say sorry. The girl in the black dress frowned, and her beautiful eyes fell on the boy in black. Qin Feng, don't be ungrateful. Don't you know the danger of the starlight spirit tide? You are only in the Meridian's realm. Don't think that you won first place in the Hidden Dragon Points competition. Let me tell you, first place in the Hidden Dragon Points competition is nothing. In the Starlight Spirit Tide, if you don't have the protection of an expert, not only will you gain nothing, but you will also lose your life. It is good to be arrogant, but if you don't know your own limits, you will not go far. Junior sister, stop talking. Bai Yun was anxious. Why was junior sister Yun Mo so stubborn? She always wanted to argue with junior brother Qin Feng. Yun Mo shook off Bai Yun's hand and sneered at the boy in black. Senior sister, don't worry about me. Some people don't know what's good for them. Who do you think our pavilion leader is? He is a young giant in the sea reincarnation realm. To be appreciated by our pavilion leader is an opportunity that countless geniuses in the All-Stars College dream of. Junior sister. Bai Yun's expression became serious as she looked at the boy in black. She bit her lower lip and was about to say something, but Qin Feng stopped her. This is the third update. There is still one more update. Chapter 361. Whether or not I, Qin Feng, know my own limits is my own business and has nothing to do with anyone else. As for the danger of entering the Starlight Spirit Tide, I don't need a stranger to worry about it. Qin Feng's expression turned cold and indifferent. Yun Mo felt as if she was struck by lightning. She raised her head and happened to see Qin Feng's cold expression. She didn't know why, but when she saw this cold expression, her heart turned cold, and she suddenly wanted to hug her head and cry. Qin Feng glanced at the dazed white-clothed girl. With a wave of his hand, 2 jars of jade spirit wine that were over 500 years old appeared on the table. Senior sister Bai Yun, since an old friend is here, Qin Feng should personally receive her. However, Qin Feng still has matters to attend to, so I won't be accompanying you. Yu Yao and the rest will come and receive you. Qin Feng waved his hand and Yu Yao, Zhou Yuxian, and Yin Lihua walked in. Qin Feng turned and left. He didn't even look at Yun Mo. Yun Mo bit her lower lip and stared blankly at the black-clothed youth's departing figure. A trace of grievance brewed in her eyes. Junior sister Yun Mo, you. Bai Yun's beautiful eyes revealed a trace of unhappiness. She glanced at the stubborn black-clothed girl, and in the next moment, it turned into a trace of helplessness. Qin Feng went down the Scarlet Sky Peak and went directly to the Alchemy Courtyard. The Alchemy Courtyard was located on the mountainside surrounded by clouds and mist. It looked like a green mountain villa. There were spiritual flowers and herbs everywhere and countless begonias were in full bloom. The scenery looked marvelous. The mountain villa in the depths of the clouds and mist looked as if it was floating and away from the world. Qin Feng's unhappiness quietly dissipated and his state of mind returned to normal. Around the alchemy courtyard, there was a group of high-level alchemists taking care of some herbs. This group of alchemists was responsible for screening and organizing the spirit herbs. They also specially categorized and stored the spirit herbs sent by the Medicine King Hall. There were also some spirit herbs that required special processing. In the vicinity of the Pill Refinement Courtyard, there were several villas. A few high-level alchemists who were proficient in the Tao of alchemy lived there and were in charge of these matters. Alchemy wasn't just the alchemist's job alone. Every alchemist had many servants and disciples. Most of them were there to help the alchemist deal with these matters, allowing the alchemist to free himself from many miscellaneous matters and concentrate on refining pills. Peak Master. The person in charge of managing the alchemy side courtyard was a graceful young man. He was about 15 or 16 years old, and had a delicate appearance. He looked like a scholar, but there was an otherworldly aura around him. His eyes contained gentleness and intelligence. The newcomer was Lu Xiu. He was originally one of Du Pingxia's pursuers. Later on, he established some connections with Qin Feng. When Lu Chunyang, Du Pingxia, Li Zhuang and the others left the Scarlet Sky Peak, he chose to stay behind. Because he was originally a disciple of the Medicine King Hall, Qin Feng gave him the status of an outer disciple, and ordered Lu Xiu to manage the affairs of the pill refining side courtyard. Junior brother Lu, have the elixirs from the Medicine King Hall been delivered? Qin Feng walked towards the pill refining side courtyard. A portion of the elixirs have already been delivered. We only lack 1 or 2 supplementary herbs. Elder Qing Mu sent someone to say that they will be delivered in the next few days. Very good. Qin Feng nodded. Unknowingly, he had already entered the depths of the pill refining side courtyard. The pill refining side courtyard's grandeur was somewhat beyond Qin Feng's imagination. Obviously, Elder Qing Mu had spent a lot of effort to help him build this courtyard. At this moment, a portion of the alchemy apprentices had already moved into the pill refining side courtyard. When they saw Qin Feng's arrival, their eyes were filled with respect and they greeted him as Peak Master. Sweeping a glance at these apprentices, Qin Feng continued to walk forward. When he passed by the garden, his eyes flickered as he saw 7 or 8 black-robed alchemist apprentices in the garden. These alchemist apprentices looked abnormally young. When they saw the black-robed young man, they hurriedly stopped talking, stood up, and greeted him respectfully. Greetings, Master Qin. You are the alchemist apprentices recommended by Elder Qing Mu? Qin Feng glanced at these young men and women. These young men and women's cultivations were not weak, and their aptitudes were extremely good. Among them, 2 of their cultivations seemed to be even stronger than Qin Feng. They had condensed at least 30 spiritual veins. They wore the standard black robes of a grade 1 alchemist. When the pill refining side courtyard was being built, Elder Qing Mu had asked Qin Feng how many low-level alchemists he could nurture for the Pill King Hall. Moreover, he recommended a few alchemist apprentices that the Medicine King Hall nurtured to Qin Feng. At that time, Qin Feng did not pay much attention to it and casually agreed. He did not expect that the next day, Elder Qing Mu would bring him a batch of so-called elites from the Pill King Hall. Recalling the situation at that time, Qin Feng shook his head. Speaking of which, this was the first time he had come to see these alchemist apprentices. These alchemist apprentices had been living here ever since they arrived at the pill refining side courtyard. The 2 grade 1 alchemists in the lead were a male and a female. The young man was tall and wore coarse hemp clothes. He had thick eyebrows and big eyes. Beside him was a cold and elegant girl in black. She was tall and about 15 or 16 years old. Her light eyebrows were like autumn water, and her jade-like skin was accompanied by a light breeze. Her temperament was cold, and her eyes carried an intense coldness that seemed to distance herself from others. Master Qin. The 2 of them had respectful expressions, without a trace of arrogance. Qin Feng looked at the 2 of them with some surprise. These 2 had become grade 1 alchemists at the age of 15 or 16, yet they were so obedient. This was really surprising. Could it be that Elder Qing Mu has already taught them? That's not bad, I don't have to do it myself. Qin Feng did not know that these 2 people were not as obedient as they appeared to be. The reality was the exact opposite of what he saw. Among this batch of alchemists, these 2 people were the most arrogant. These 2 people's origins were out of the ordinary, and their birth was even more of the most noble. Even some elders couldn't afford to offend these 2 people. Usually, it was not easy for an alchemist apprentice to come into contact with these 2 people. The 2 of them seemed to be approachable, but in fact, they were arrogant and kept people at a distance. In Qin Feng's eyes, there was only one reason why they were so obedient. Qin Feng was more talented than them. A 15-year-old grade 4 alchemist, the 2 of them could not help but be convinced. Very good. In about 5 days, I will refine a few batches of elixirs. They are soul-refining elixir, and spirit-congealing elixir. You can go ahead and prepare. When the time comes, you can come in and watch. How much you can learn depends on your own ability. These were all grade 2 elixirs. The Pill King Hall urgently needed these elixirs. Qin Feng had already accepted this task a few days ago. Originally, he would open the furnace 3 days later. Unfortunately, 3 days later was the time when the Starlight Spirit Tide would erupt. He could only temporarily postpone it for a few days. Hearing Qin Feng's words, Yan Fei'er and Huang Fu Song's eyes lit up. Watching the refinement of grade 2 elixirs was a rare opportunity for grade 1 alchemists like them. Seeing Qin Feng walking towards the depths of the courtyard, Yan Fei'er and Huang Fu Song looked at each other. Suddenly, Yan Fei'er spoke. Master Qin, do you know about the Starlight Spirit Tide? Qin Feng paused and turned around. He looked at the beautiful girl with a cold temperament with a strange gaze. Yan Fei'er bowed respectfully and said softly, My father has some influence in Xingqian school. A few peak masters have told my father about this matter. Now, a few senior brothers in the sect have already taken care of this matter. They have heard of Master Qin's reputation and have already told Fei'er that they hope to visit Master Qin. This time, the senior martial brothers have instructed us to let Fei'er invite Master Qin. Speaking of this, the girl was slightly embarrassed. Master Qin, this is the first time we meet, and you have already made such an unreasonable request. I hope you can forgive Fei'er for being presumptuous. Qin Feng frowned. Unbeknownst to him, Lu Xiu, who was standing behind Qin Feng, had a shocked expression. What the hell, Yan Fei'er actually invited the peak master. Rumor has it that this junior sister Yan Fei'er is the youngest daughter of one of the peak masters of the 28 peaks of the sect. Her senior brothers are all true disciples. Doesn't this mean that the peak master has already entered the vision of that existence? Chapter 362. Bean-sized raindrops fell from the sky and hit the green jade-glazed roof tiles. The entire scarlet sky peak was immersed in a curtain of rain. In the evening, the misty rain was hazy. Looking from afar, it was like a poem or a painting. In the alchemy courtyard, lights were lit between the rooms. At dusk, there was a trace of warmth in the mortal world. 3 days had already passed. Qin Feng still rejected Yan Fei'er's invitation. Qin Feng was used to facing everything alone. As a person who had been alone for a long time, Qin Feng could adapt to having more friends around him. However, he was unwilling to be entangled too deeply, even if this would put him in a dangerous situation. After this, Huang Fu Song also sent out a similar invitation on behalf of the force behind him. However, he was also rejected by Qin Feng. It was worth mentioning that 2 days ago, Elder Qin Mu personally sent someone to talk to Qin Feng about the eruption of the Starlight Spirit Tide. At the same time, he said that if Qin Feng was willing, he could travel with the experts from the Medicine King Hall. Looking at the sky, Qin Feng thought for a moment. His figure moved and he arrived at the Jade Water Cave in half an hour. After scanning the surroundings, Qin Feng took out the Cave Mansion control token and activated the array to seal the Jade Water Cave. When he passed by the Jade Water Golden Lotus, Qin Feng took a look at this spirit root. After 10 breaths, Qin Feng opened the cultivation room in the Cave Mansion. He adjusted his breathing slightly and began to cultivate in seclusion. In the boundless Milky Way, the vast starlight surged magnificently. In the secret room, Qin Feng circulated the star perception divine art. With a thought, he appeared among the 12 sins of the winged fire god palace. Countless silver starlight gathered and a figure appeared under the ancient star tree of the winged fire god palace. This was the place where Qin Feng left the winged fire god palace last time. After a month of cultivation, Qin Feng's stellar battle physique had condensed close to 20 star spirit veins. 20 star spirit veins, This was twice the number of spirit veins condensed by Qin Feng's main body. Solitary Night Star was desolate. Standing in Winged Flame's courtyard, one could see countless stars twinkling with silver starlight. The star Yuan Qi in the Star River was much more active than before. Qin Feng was deep in thought, suppressing his desire to fly out of solitary night. The starlight spirit tide was coming. Qin Feng turned around and arrived under the ancient star tree. He calmed his heart and circulated the art of the origin stars to gather the essence of the stars. Although one could only bring back 1/10 of one's cultivation by cultivating in the Star River, cultivating here was more than 10 times better than cultivating in other places. In particular, after obtaining the primeval star mark, Qin Feng found that cultivating in the galaxy was like a fish in water. Standing on the astral river, Qin Wentian felt as though he was a child of the stars. Even if he didn't actively cultivate, the astral Yuan Qi would automatically resonate with him. Qin Feng circulated the art of the origin stars, and the power of the stars in the Star River gathered around him. It was as though the water of the Star River was pouring into Qin Feng's body and being constantly refined. Half a day later, Qin Feng's body shook and a silver-white starlight soared into the sky, accompanied by mysterious silver runes with obscure aura. A silver-white spirit vein condensed inside his body. This was the 20th star spirit vein. Qin Feng opened his eyes and was slightly excited. This kind of cultivation efficiency was far beyond his imagination. Qin Feng thought of the only magic power that came with the second level of the art of the origin stars. Qin Feng's eyes moved and he opened his hands. Countless silver-white starlight gathered between his palms. Heaven-mixing star cannon. A blazing white light appeared in the center of his palm, aiming at a star rock that was several tens of feet tall 1,000 feet away. Boom! Like a sudden clap of thunder, the violent starlight blasted the star rock into smithereens. Not bad. The heaven-mixing star cannon was a magic power that came with the art of the origin stars. It was an innate magic power derived from the art of the origin stars. The power of this magic power was related to the martial artist's attainments in the art of the origin stars. The stronger the essence of the star true power and the more star spirit veins condensed, the more terrifying the power of the heaven-mixing star cannon. Moreover, the heaven-mixing star cannon had a special ability. Like the art of the origin stars, it could fuse with one's own magic power and transform it. Just at this moment, Qin Feng's heart stirred. At this moment, the distant horizon trembled. Qin Feng had an illusion that the entire Star River was shaking. Rumble! Qin Feng seemed to have heard a thunderous sound like a flash flood erupting from the mountains. At the same time, on the countless stars around the winged flame god palace, existences were looking into the distance. A silver light that covered the entire day suddenly appeared in the sky. Silver light, an indescribable silver light. At first, it was just a little bit. However, in just 2 to 3 breaths, Qin Feng saw it clearly. It was a huge and unimaginable silver star river. Like a terrifying flood that suddenly erupted in the valley, the silver star river was filled with star spirit qi. It was like a boundless river. It was a liquid river that was condensed from pure star spirit qi. The river was vast and boundless. Rumble! The stars became lone peaks in the river. In just a few blinks of the eye, the silver star river was in front of him. This was the starlight spirit tide. Rumble! The silver river of stars roared and rolled up huge waves. Under the surging momentum, Qin Feng felt that the lonely night star under his feet was like a reef in the huge wave. It was as if in the next breath, it would be torn apart by these huge waves. Qin Feng gasped. In the starlight spirit tide that reached the sky, he was like a grain of sand in the vast ocean. He was as small as an ant. Rumble! In a few breaths of time, the terrifying torrent formed by the starlight spirit tide was about to rush over. Qin Feng's face suddenly changed. His figure flashed and appeared hundreds of feet high in the sky. The mixed essence star true force in his body gathered in his palm. Mixed essence star cannon, he roared. A thunderous boom reverberated through the air. Huge rocks flew and a huge hole exploded in the ground. Qin Feng's figure was like a stream of light and instantly drilled in. The moment Qin Feng drilled into the ground. Rumble! In the next moment, an incomparably terrifying shock wave was born in the lonely night star. Qin Feng felt that something terrifying had hit the lonely night star. It's coming! At the same time, in the outer 9 rings of the winged fire god palace, experts stood on the major stars and watched the starlight spirit tide that was like a landslide and a tsunami. Their eyes were filled with ecstasy and shock. Above a nebula in the 11th ring of the winged fire god palace, the peerless experts of the Xingqian school gathered on a yellowish-brown star and looked into the distance. Among the experts, there was no lack of peerless giants whose aura was enough to shake the stars. At the same time, above another nebula, on a star full of cold air, a group of Sun-Moon Sword sect experts sneered. Hundreds of experts gathered around a moon in the center. They were like stars surrounding the moon. The cold moon hung alone and illuminated the ancient times. In a nebula in the shape of a scale, the Tianliang sect quietly watched the starlight spirit tide under the leadership of the current sect master. In addition, the geniuses of the All-Stars College, Sun-Moon College, Tianliang College, Mixed Essence College, and many other colleges appeared outside the 12 rings of the winged fire god palace. On the star list, the geniuses of the various sects appeared one by one, waiting for this rare grand banquet. This is the first update. There are still 3 updates to go. Chapter 363. The torrential star river water bombarded the solitary night star. At this moment, the center of the winged fire nebula suddenly burst out with a dazzling light. Starting from the first ring, an incomparably resplendent silver light suddenly lit up and extended to the outer ring. It surged like a tide and swept across the 12 rings. After a few breaths, the entire 12 rings of the winged fire god palace was like a ball of dazzling sun. Rumble! The roaring galactic water slammed into the huge nebula like a flood crashing into a divine mountain. Boom! The entire outer ring of the 12 rings trembled violently. The solitary night star rumbled violently. For a moment, Qin Feng felt that the entire solitary night star had completely shattered. Splash! In the next moment, countless star river water bypassed the winged fire god palace and began to change its course. The star river torrent was unstoppable. It was over. Underground, Qin Feng opened his eyes and closed his eyes to sense. In the next moment, Qin Feng opened his eyes and couldn't hide the shock in his eyes. In just a few minutes, the star river Yuanqi outside had increased by more than 10 times. The dense star river Yuanqi was so dense that it was like liquid. Rumble! A silver light rushed out from the ground and pierced into the sky like a sharp sword. Qin Feng looked around and a strange scene appeared in front of him. Countless liquid star river Yuanqi formed a boundless silver river that traversed the star field. The silver river water roared. The river's surface was boundless and vast. That silver-white Milky Way was so majestic that it was beyond imagination. It was a pure star river that was condensed from liquid star river Yuanqi. It was the star river. Behind him, the entire winged fire god palace was like a fiery red sacred mountain. The 12 rings of the winged fire god palace were completely condensed together in a faint red light. In the silver river, it was like a huge red rock. Rumble! Countless star river water roared in his ears. At this moment, there were countless specks of starlight in the solitary night star. It was filled with a silver fog that was extremely dense star river Yuanqi. Qin Feng inhaled and exhaled slightly. Instantly, he felt the origin star true power in his body increase a little. A great opportunity! This is a great opportunity! Qin Feng immediately sat cross-legged on the solitary night star. He circulated the art of the origin stars with all his might, and his body transformed into a huge silver-white vortex. Countless streams of star water gushed into Qin Feng's body. The 20 star meridians inside his body were operating at full power. The extremely dense astral origin energy flowed into his body, causing Qin Feng's meridians to swell painfully. The star origin qi contained within the star water was too dense. The star power of the original level continued to refine the extremely rich star water, turning it into a spirit vein inch by inch. A moment later, Qin Feng's body emitted a silver light that soared into the sky. No, this refining speed is too slow. Qin Feng frowned. Without a doubt, the starlight spirit tide before them was an exceptional feast that was hard to come by in thousands of years. But a pulse condensation period martial artist's refining speed of star water was too slow. This was incomparable to the sea of reincarnation realm martial artists on the ranking of stars. The slow refining speed of star water meant that Qin Feng's share of the cake in this feast would be much smaller than the sea of reincarnation realm martial artists on the ranking of stars. Rumble! At this moment, the sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. A dense silver light landed on the Star River. Within the silver light was an exceptionally terrifying martial artist. He looked to be around 15 or 16 years old. His expression was indifferent. His body suddenly transformed, and in an instant, a burst of spatial energy erupted, forming a huge spatial crack. This formless spatial crack erupted with a terrifying suction force, and countless streams of star water were sucked in like a whale. This speed was 100 times faster than Qin Feng's. Inner world. Qin Feng's eyes lit up. At this moment, streaks of silver light appeared on the stars of the 12 rings. Numerous sea of reincarnation realm martial artists appeared. Their bodies turned into vortexes, and every time they spat out a stream of star water, they would be able to absorb a stream of star water. In addition, there were also some meridians condensation realm martial artists like Qin Feng that appeared. They started to use their own methods to absorb the star water. There were over 1,000 meridians condensation realm martial artists, both young and old. However, in the Star River they looked a little sparse. All of them were doing their best to absorb the star water to obtain this rare opportunity. However, those with discerning eyes could see that the sea of reincarnation realm martial artists were absorbing the star water at a speed that was at least 10 or 20 times faster than the meridians condensation realm martial artists. The stronger one was, the greater the benefits one would obtain. All Stars College's martial artists were grouped together. The geniuses of the 10 great battle teams worked together. A group of 100 young men and women appeared on an ancient star and worked together to operate a huge star battle formation. The speed at which these young men and women worked together to operate the star battle formation was extremely terrifying. It actually wasn't inferior to the speed at which several martial artists worked together to spit out the star water. Rumble! The Star River's water seemed to have opened up a canal and extended into a branch. Rumble! Countless streams of star water landed on the bodies of the geniuses of the 10 great battle teams. In the center of the battle formation, the auras of a few sea of reincarnation realm martial artists surged. It was obvious that their strength had improved greatly. At the same time, many youths in the battle formation also obtained great benefit. Their auras climbed steadily. Qin Feng's eyes were sharp. He saw many familiar faces in this battle formation. Among them were some famous first-year and second-year geniuses of the All-Stars College. Squinting his eyes, Qin Feng saw Xuelian, Yi Qinghua, Jiang Binger, Lin Fei, Jin Rui, Ouyang Yu, Luo Lai, and the others. There were also Li Qiubai, Yuan Daozhen, Xiao Yuchan, Lu Canyang, and even Lu Chunyang. Near the core of the battle formation, Qin Feng saw Bai Yun and Yun Mo. The two girls were trying their best to swallow and spit out the star water. Streams of silver star water flowed down from the top of their heads. The cultivation of the two girls had undergone a great transformation. This was at least several times better than absorbing the star water by themselves. In the void, Yunemo seemed to sense Qin Feng's gaze. She opened her beautiful eyes and instantly saw the familiar figure floating in the void above the lonely night star. The corners of her mouth curled up into a cold smile as she looked at Qin Feng with pity in her eyes. Qin Feng seemed to see the sigh in her beautiful eyes. "Junior sister, what's wrong?" Bai Yun noticed Yun Mo's abnormality. "Nothing. Senior sister, let's continue to absorb the star water and try to break through to the heaven realm in one fell swoop." At this moment, someone nearby also noticed Qin Feng's figure. "Isn't that Qin Feng, the president of the Azure Dragon College? He looks like he's alone." "That's enough. That guy actually refused the Sky Sea Pavilion's invitation because of his status. He asked for it. He thought that he would be able to gain an advantage by swallowing and spitting stellar water by himself. After all, this stellar water contains boundless baleful energy of the stars, and the speed of swallowing and spitting it by himself would be countless times slower. It's true that he has pride, but it's wrong if he doesn't think about the overall situation. Even if he's a level 4 alchemist, he shouldn't be so arrogant because of the invitation from the Sky Sea Pavilion. If we form a battle formation together, it will be several times faster than absorbing the star water by himself. Ignore him. He asked for it. Serves him right. Ignore him. Let's activate the battle formation and practice with all our might. That's right. Ignore him. He's alone. The benefits he can get are limited and his progress won't be much. But we're different. We have the protection of the top 10 teams and can absorb the star water several times faster. When we go back this time, our strength will be greatly improved. It's not impossible for us to take his position as the president. Some of the geniuses of the All-Stars College looked at each other and occasionally glanced strangely at Qin Feng, who was frowning in the sky above the lonely night star. They communicated mentally and gloated. Second update, third update, fourth update. Chapter 364. Although they were very far away, Qin Feng could tell what they were thinking from their expressions. A sneer appeared in his dark eyes. He turned around and his gaze landed on the martial arts magnate above the stellar river. There, a martial arts magnate had opened his inner world and was devouring the stellar water like a whale. Qin Feng's eyes flickered slightly. After being enlightened by the martial arts magnate, Qin Feng realized that it was possible to open up an inner world under the stellar river's laws. He also had an intrinsic inner world. Didn't this mean that he could similarly open up his inner world and devour the stellar water? Upon thinking of the speed at which the martial arts magnate devoured the stellar water, Qin Feng's muscles trembled. That speed was simply terrifying. He turned around and swept his gaze across the battle formation formed by All Stars College as his eyes shimmered. Moments later, Qin Feng's gaze landed on the raging stellar river formed by the liquid stellar energy. After taking a deep breath, Qin Feng's eyes flickered as he vanished from his original spot. Not long after, he appeared in a remote area that no one could see. This was the intersection between Solitary Night Star and another barren star. It was a blind spot. It was too shocking for a Meridian's condensation realm expert to be able to open up an inner world. Once this secret was exposed, it would probably attract the attention of the magnate. After all, the inner world could be plundered. At that moment, the inner world contained countless spirit roots and several spirit springs that Qin Feng had collected. There was even the tree of chaos that martial arts magnate could only dream of. If he were to be plundered, Qin Feng would definitely vomit blood. Qin Feng looked around and seeing that no one was paying attention to him, Qin Feng immediately circulated the Chaos Star's quintessential force and condensed it deep in his soul. He silently opened up the Chaos Heavens as his body and mind transformed into a pitch-black spatial rift. Rumble! In the void, a long and narrow rift was born. It expanded step by step and soon became a crack in the door. A terrifying vortex was formed. Rumble! This action was like opening up a hole in a surging river, and it was drawn over, causing surging water of stars to surge towards the spatial rift with a bang. Hundreds of surging streams of silver star water rolled backward, as if a hole had been dug out at the edge of the long river, leading to an underground cave. Gudong gudong! In an instant, the amount of silver star water he had absorbed was almost 100 times more than what Qin Feng had absorbed alone. The corners of Qin Feng's eyes twitched, and he couldn't hide his joy. In the inner world, there seemed to be an opening in the sky, and a stream of silvery white star water that seemed to have materialized came crashing down. It turned into rain and mist. At the center of the endless mainland, it was as though sharks had caught the scent of blood. Some of the spirit roots were awakening at full force. The first was the flint tree on the southern volcano. The small fiery red tree, which was not even as tall as the bench, shook its fiery red branches happily. Its only 2 branches were shaking in excitement. A fiery red swirl appeared above the small tree. Countless amounts of star water fell into the swirl like a waterfall from the 9 heavens. The small tree emitted an astounding amount of vitality as it grew at a discernible rate under Qin Feng's gaze. 3 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches. In just an hour, it had grown into a fiery red spirit tree that was 10 feet tall. Countless fiery red leaves grew out of its trunk. The fresh and tender leaves danced in the wind. The veins on the fiery red leaves resembled ancient runes that contained the supreme profundity of fire in the heaven and earth. The small tree grew to about 10 feet, as though it had reached its limit. As the flint tree grew, the southern earth vein rapidly expanded. The flint tree emitted a red beam that landed in the void, tearing apart the chaos and forming a volcano. In an instant, the chaos heavens broke through a limit, producing another 50-kilometer continent. At the same time, in the middle of the continent, the 3 calabash vines released their spirituality in an unprecedented manner. The 3 calabash spirit roots tried their best to plunder the star water that fell from the void. On the 3 calabash vines, pale yellow flowers began to bloom, producing tiny calabashes. The calabash spirit root was the most mystical. It produced 2 tiny black and white calabashes that shimmered with light. It was astounding. It was not only the spirit root. The ore cores and spirit veins in the earth vein were also absorbing the star water as they rapidly expanded. On the continent, many spirit herb seeds were germinating. Deep in the earth vein, an earthen yellow lotus flower took root in the spirit vein as it sprouted. It was the earth yellow lotus. And so on and so forth. With the star water's nourishment, the Chaos Heavens heritage was growing thicker by the moment. As the Chaos Heavens heritage thickened, Qin Feng received unimaginable feedback as the Chaos Heavens creator. Kacha! Kacha! Qin Feng's aura changed rapidly as his mind was immersed in the Chaos Heavens feedback. The evolution of his inner world was also a form of cultivation for Qin Feng. Every change in his inner world, the birth of the heavenly Tao, was profound and ever-changing. Qin Feng would receive unimaginable benefit. Some of the mysteries of cultivation could be seen through the evolution of the world. Furthermore, he could draw inferences and gain insights he never had before. Beams of light shot up into the sky from Qin Feng's body. Nearly every few seconds, Qin Feng's body would condense a star spirit vein. An hour later, Qin Feng had gathered more than 60 star spirit veins. There were a total of 60 star spirit veins. What immense power was this? The void around Qin Feng seemed to tremble as a massive suction force was born. Countless stellar radiances were completely distorted. He had broken through the Black Realm, the Earth Realm, and the Heaven Realm from the Yellow Realm, reaching the peak of the Meridian's condensation realm. If this were to spread, it would be astounding. That was not all. Qin Feng sensed immense power constantly returning from the chaos heavens. His heavenly cycle meridians were bursting. No, the chaos heavens feedback is too powerful. I have to vent it or I'll explode. As he sensed the increasing pressure in his meridians, Qin Feng's expression changed. If he were to explode, it would be a joke. Should I break through to the Sea of Reincarnation realm? Qin Feng's expression changed. Breaking through to the Sea of Reincarnation realm was not difficult for the present Qin Feng. He was at the demon god realm in his previous life. With the foundation of 2 lifetimes, Qin Feng's foundation was unparalleled. Qin Feng's eyes shimmered with a strange glint. The mystery of how a Meridian's condensation realm expert could break through to the Sea of Reincarnation realm was already in Qin Feng's mind. As long as he comprehended the true essence of the void, he could use the power of the void to fuse his meridians into one, allowing him to break through to the Sea of Reincarnation realm. However, generally speaking, comprehending the true essence of the void was not something that could be done in a short period of time for the typical warrior. The void was vast and boundless. It was the most illusory. Typically, even rare geniuses would need at least several years to comprehend the true essence of the void unless they encountered some special fortuitous encounter. Some geniuses might even be stuck at this bottleneck their entire lives. As such, the realm between the peak of the Meridian's condensation realm and the Sea of Reincarnation realm was also known as the miraculous void realm. However, to Qin Feng, breaking through the miraculous void realm did not seem like a difficult task. Chapter 365. He controlled the chaos heavens and had a void spirit root like the tree of chaos. The void mystical realm was no longer a secret to Qin Feng. After pondering for a moment, Qin Feng decided to break through the void mystical realm. Qin Feng extracted a wisp of the void powers from the chaos heavens and slowly infused it into his astral quintessential force. Inch by inch, he refined his astral quintessential force. After refining a wisp of void powers, Qin Feng's astral quintessential force underwent a mystical change. The feeling of fullness in his meridians vanished. There was an additional feeling of emptiness. After refining a wisp of void powers, his astral quintessential force shrank instead. It was only a third of its original size. Qin Feng opened his palm as a wisp of ethereal quintessential force seeped out from his palm. Vaguely, the void was stirred by this wisp of quintessential force. This was the void quintessential force. This was the void quintessential force unique to Sea of Reincarnation realm expert. However, Qin Feng's present quintessential force could not be considered true void quintessential force. It could only be considered a pseudo-void quintessential force. This was the pseudo-void quintessential force he obtained after breaking through the void mystical realm. Although the quality of this pseudo-void quintessential force was higher than ordinary quintessential force at the meridian condensation realm, however, it was still lacking from the void quintessential force unique to Sea of Reincarnation realm expert. The difference of this one step was huge. According to what Qin Feng knew, a typical meridian condensation realm expert could condense 9 wisps when they broke through to the Sea of Reincarnation realm. The higher the quality of the astral quintessential force, the more void powers it could contain. Geniuses at Jiang Binger's level could condense 18 or 24 wisps. As for elites like Yi Qinghua and Snow Lotus, they could condense 36 wisps. It was rumored that the top geniuses could condense 49 wisps of void powers. The number of Dians was 49. 49 wisps was the limit. However, Qin Feng knew that true monstrous geniuses could break through this number. There was a supreme upper limit of the Great Tao. In the future, most peerless elites who had condensed heavenly Tao quintessential force could condense more than 49 wisps of void powers. It was rumored that the first demon ancestor and the lifeless sword master had both condensed 81 strands of extreme void power. Qin Feng estimated that with his current primeval star true force, condensing 81 wisps of void force should not be a problem. At that moment, as the Chaos Heaven's heritage increased, the pseudo-void quintessential force in his body was instantly filled to the brim. As he sensed the feeling of his meridians being saturated, Qin Feng used the Chaos Heavens to extract another wisp of void forces from the void. After the second strand of void power entered Qin Feng's body, the pseudo-void power began to shrink again. This time, there was still 1/3 left. At the same time, Qin Feng felt that he had once again condensed a strand of void power. The quality of his pseudo-void true power had undergone some changes. Qin Feng continued to condense the third strand, the fourth strand, the fifth. 1 hour later, Qin Feng had condensed 36 strands of void power. Qin Feng's guess was right. Condensing 36 strands of void power was probably a limit for the typical genius. However, Qin Feng did not feel a bottleneck. He only felt that his pseudo-void quintessential force still had a lot of room for improvement. After condensing 36 strands of void quintessential force, Qin Feng's 8 desolation indestructible body also changed. It became more mystical, as though his entire body had come into contact with the void's powers, fusing with a portion of the void's powers. He had a form of tolerance towards the void's powers. If he were to encounter Emperor Yin again, Emperor Yin's void quintessential force would no longer be able to cause him such terrifying damage. Just as Qin Feng was refining the void's powers, the Chaos Tree in the Chaos Heavens seemed to sense the stimulation of the endless stellar Yuan Qi outside. It began to awaken. The tree's countless roots tore through the spatial rift Qin Feng tore open. Kacha! Kacha! The countless thin and formless roots easily created an even more terrifying spatial rift. The formless roots ignored the distance and sank straight into the silver heavenly river. Rumble! The Chaos Heavens seemed to produce countless bolts of lightning. Instantly, Qin Feng discovered that the Chaos Heavens' ability to absorb the stellar water had increased tenfold. The Chaos Heavens' absorption of the stellar water was already abnormally terrifying, but now it had increased tenfold. Rumble! Every second, tons of stellar water were sucked into the Chaos Heavens. The Chaos Heavens began a massive expansion. At the same time, the damaged abyssal fiend chart began to slowly recover from the changes. Qin Feng looked at this change with a dumbfounded expression. The speed at which he was absorbing the stellar water at every moment was comparable to the combined speed of several martial arts magnates. Rumble! Upon hearing the terrifying sound that resembled a waterfall from the 9 heavens, Qin Feng gulped. He had struck it rich. As the Chaos Heavens' heritage increased, the feedback Qin Feng received became even more immense. A surging energy entered his body from the Chaos Heavens. In just a few seconds, the pseudo-void quintessential force that was left with 1/6 was instantly filled to the brim. His meridians nearly exploded from the incessant feedback. Qin Feng hurriedly calmed his mind and continued condensing the void powers. 37th wisp, 38th wisp. 15 minutes later, Qin Feng successfully condensed 9 wisps of void powers from the 4 masters. At that moment, the quality of Qin Feng's pseudo-void quintessential force was in no way inferior to the void quintessential force of some powerful sea of reincarnation realm experts. However, Qin Feng did not find it difficult at all. The potential of Qin Feng's peerless foundation was finally beginning to show its effects. Qin Feng continued extracting the void powers. The 50th wisp, the 51st wisp. By the 81st wisp, Qin Feng's pseudo-void powers were left with 1/9 of the original. At that moment, the pseudo-void powers in Qin Feng's body were in no way inferior to the void quintessential force of some pinnacle sea of reincarnation realm expert. Qin Feng had a feeling that if he were to meet a sea of reincarnation realm expert like the Yin Emperor again, he would be beaten to a pulp within 100 moves. However, it seems like I haven't reached my limit yet. Qin Feng chose to continue trying. Unexpectedly, the 82nd wisp of void powers was easily refined. 83rd wisp, 84th wisp, 85th wisp, 99th wisp. At the 99th wisp of void powers, Qin Feng's void quintessential force had truly reached a pinnacle. At that moment, Qin Feng had an extremely terrifying feeling. If he were to meet the Yin Emperor again, he would at most need 3 moves to beat a sea of reincarnation realm expert like the Yin Emperor into a dog. Suppressing this violent feeling, Qin Feng circulated his extremely condensed void quintessential force and began fusing it with the spirit meridians in his body. Every time he condensed a spirit meridian, Qin Feng's aura would become stronger by a notch. The 2nd, 3rd, 58th, 50th, 60th. When the last star spirit meridian fused with Qin Feng's body, the aura around Qin Feng's body had reached its peak. Kacha kacha. Qin Feng's body emitted a formless radiance, shattering the void around him. An aura suppressed the void. Tomorrow is still the same. Chapter 366. He had broken through to the sea of reincarnation realm. Qin Fenghua opened his eyes slightly. His body floated in the void, and a formless force of nothingness flowed out from his body. One by one, it shook his orifices, and the stacking force was born. His body was entangled and bound by rings of true force of nothingness. It was like a desolate snake coiling around his body, stepping on a dragon and soaring into the sky. It was also like 100 rivers flowing into the sea. Wave after wave of formless energy spread out like water ripples. It didn't dissipate for a long time. It was as though the surrounding void was disappearing. This is the sea of reincarnation realm. Qin Feng looked within himself. At this moment, a huge space appeared in his dantian. This was the spirit sea that was formed by condensing void true force. The sea of reincarnation had 3 realms. The first realm was the spirit sea realm. The second realm was the space realm. The third realm was the heaven realm. Within the spirit sea, a layer of silver light flowed. This was the primordial incipient true force. At this moment it was only a thin layer. At the spirit sea realm, one had to start condensing their void chakra meridians. Ordinary sea of reincarnation realm experts had a limited amount of spirit sea. Most chakra realm experts could only condense 3 chakra meridians. Those with great talent could condense 6 chakra meridians. Some of the top geniuses could condense 9 chakra meridians. Qin Feng's spirit sea was unimaginably strong. Comparing it to the sea of reincarnation that Qin Feng condensed in his previous life, it was more than 10 times bigger. Hua hua hua. Suddenly, Qin Feng heard countless strange sounds in his ears. Qin Feng opened his eyes. A heavenly river appeared. The river water surged, and the light waves were vast. The endless waves spread out and filled his vision. In the upper reaches of the heavenly river, countless nebula beasts were rushing towards the winged flame god palace. In front of him, countless nebula beasts were mixed in the starlight spirit wave. They were like a school of fish migrating in a river. Qin Feng saw a group of void silver elephants floating in the starlight spirit wave. There were also familiar great earth rhinoceroses, starlight pythons, starlight apes, void white whales. Many nebula beasts seemed to be attracted by the starlight spirit wave. Shio shio shio. Suddenly, 3 streams of light flew from afar and appeared in the sky. The silvery white brilliance changed, revealing 3 powerhouses. Qin Feng's gaze landed on the uniform black robes of these 3 experts that had a hint of gold in them. These were people from the Tianliang sect. These were 3 peak pulse condensation stage powerhouses. These three-peak meridian condensation experts came from a large sect like the Tianliang sect. Their strength was extraordinary. Each of them had at least 40 spiritual veins in their heads. Primordial True Power Cannon. The three of them roared, and three blazing white lights blasted into the heavenly river. Bang bang bang! Amidst a few loud explosions, Qin Feng saw a group of giant earth rhinoceroses in the heavenly river being smashed into pieces by the torrents. Dozens of giant earthen rhinoceroses turned into essence qi and fed it back to the three of them. Qin Feng even saw a few grayish-brown star profundity fragments among the dozens of streams of essence qi that were sent back. There's actually such a good thing. Qin Feng's eyes lit up. At the same time, Qin Feng heard the sound of many figures breaking through the air. Qin Feng glanced around and saw more than 1,000 streams of light silently appearing on the many stars in the outer area of the 12th ring. Among them, there were a few streams of light that rushed toward the solitary night star that Qin Feng was on. A few loud roars came from afar. "Get the hell out of this planet, brat! This planet belongs to the Sun-Moon Institute." Not long after, 7 or 8 young men and women appeared in the sky above the solitary night star. They were here to snatch the territory. Fishing also required a good location. The solitary night star was located in the upper reaches of the 12th ring. It was originally a remote location that was not loved by anyone. Now that the fish tide had come from the heavenly river, it had become the best place to harvest the fat fish. The weakest of these young men and women were in the earth realm. Most of them were in the heaven realm. The leader had already stepped into the wondrous void state and was surrounded by a wisp of void power. Qin Feng silently appeared in the sky above the solitary night star. He stared coldly at the group of people and spat out 2 words, "Scram." The group of people's eyes turned cold. Qin Feng's true power of the void burst out. Rumble! He was standing in the middle of a void tornado that connected the heavens and the earth. Or die. Oh no, it's a big shot in the sea of reincarnation. Run. The expression of the leading godly void realm expert changed as he hurriedly retreated. The 7 or 8 people instantly retreated. Just as he was about to consider whether to kill these guys with one shot, Qin Feng's expression suddenly changed. Rumble! A few thunder-like breaths roared. In front of the solitary night star, there were thunderbolts in the sky. More than 10 of them. Like shooting stars, they shot across the sky and landed on the first few stars in the 12th ring. These were more than 10 martial arts giants. Rumble! A few martial Dao magnates were fighting in the void, and their terrifying power was faintly shaking the entire galaxy. Qin Feng's expression changed. Qin Feng glanced around. Obviously, these martial arts giants had noticed the benefits of the position and started to fight for it, hoping to gain the most benefit. Qin Feng's gaze fell on the solitary night star. It was also upstream, but at the end of the upstream. The best part was that it was on a turn. The torrent of the celestial river had to make a turn outside these few stars. This was a good position. Although it was not as good as the dozens of stars in the upstream, it was still a very ingenious position. Looks like there's trouble. Whoosh! Just then, Qin Feng saw another wave of starlight beasts coming from upstream. There were dozens of level 3 nebula beasts. A few martial arts giants attacked instantly. A few terrifying rays of light swept across, and the dozens of level 3 nebula beasts in the celestial river were immediately divided up. This was the advanced version of the primeval chaos star cannon, the primeval chaos heaven and earth cannon. It was supported by the power of the inner heaven and earth. One shot was enough to kill a level 4 nebula beast. According to Qin Feng's understanding, the lowest level of the primeval chaos star cannon was the primeval chaos true energy cannon of the Meridian's realm. The primeval chaos true energy cannon had a range of 3,000 feet. Its power could easily kill a nebula beast. If it encountered a level 2 nebula beast, It might need a few more shots. Then there was the primeval chaos void cannon of the Sea of Reincarnation realm. It was supported by the power of the void, and had a range of 5,000 feet. One shot could easily kill a level 2 nebula beast. Qin Feng cultivated the primeval true energy of the primeval realm. Qin Feng estimated that one shot could cover 8,000 feet. However, the further the distance, the weaker the power. The best range was 5,000 feet. One shot could kill a level 3 nebula beast. This nebula beast wave is intermittent. It should be a sign of the starlight beast wave. However, I can confirm that the first wave of nebula beast wave is coming. These small waves of beasts were mostly killed by the martial arts giants in the upstream or by these powerful disciples. However, the celestial river was vast. There were bound to be fishes that slipped through the net. Qin Feng stepped on the gigantic vortex formed by the chaos heavens. He adjusted his posture and gathered his aura as a blob of white light condensed in his palm. Qin Feng was accumulating his strength. Once he discovered a level 3 nebula beast wave, he would release a shocking strike. Qin Feng did not know that within the winged fire divine palace's 11th ring, streams of light that emitted the aura of Sea of Reincarnation realm experts were rushing out. A few of them were heading for Solitary Night Planet. First update, third update. Chapter 367. Rumble. A series of ear-piercing sounds could be heard. 4 shooting stars streaked through the sky, dragging long tails behind them as they headed straight for Solitary Night Star. Bang bang bang. The 4 meteors collided from time to time. There were terrifying aftershocks. Flickering lights and passing shadows, changing forms in an instant. The 4 auras emitted endless light and heat, burning the 9 heavens. Or black water overflowed, unstoppable. It could be as powerful as a thunderbolt or as unpredictable as the heavenly might. Perhaps it was dark, muddled, and soul-stirring. These were 4 Sea Reincarnation realm experts, and they were the best of the best among them. These 4 experts weren't just famous. Fiery Sword Leader Yu Chuanxiu, Black Water King Yu Hualong, Thunder Sun Lei Chongguang, and Endless King Yin Karen. The 4 of them were famous for their strength among the Sea Reincarnation realm experts. In the sky, a blazing bolt of lightning struck the 3 streaks of light and sent them flying. The star in front of you is mine. If the 3 of you know what's good for you, get lost immediately. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless. Lei Chongguang, don't be too arrogant. 3 streaks of light shot out, and 3 gloomy-faced figures appeared. Yu Chuanxiu wore a red robe, and the flames on his body burned the 9 heavens. Black Water King Yu Hualong was like a fish dragon born from the ancient black water. He wore a high hat and a wide belt. His black hair fluttered in the wind, and his eyes were majestic. Endless King Yin Karen was shrouded in black fog, as if he had merged with the darkness of the dark void. Rumble. Lightning flashed, and an extremely majestic figure walked out of the lightning. His body was surrounded by circles of lightning, and the lightning seemed to be real, coming out of his pores. His gaze landed on the other 3, and it was as if 2 rays of divine light shot out. This gaze was extremely aggressive. He stood with his hands behind his back. You're not my opponent. As an elder of the Sun-Moon Sword Sect, Yu Chuanxiu had never been looked down upon like this. Lei Chongguang, don't be conceited. The Endless King Yin Karen stared at the burly and domineering figure with a sinister look. Lei Chongguang, although you've cultivated the 9th true inheritance of Xingqian school, don't be too arrogant. You must know that you may not be able to monopolize this star alone. Yu Hualong was also a middle-aged man with a pale face and no beard. He was wearing a black robe, and there seemed to be endless black water surging inside the robe. Fish dragons could be seen swimming in the black water. His aura was very strong. He was an elder of the Hunyuan sect. Don't waste your breath on him. Let's get rid of Lei Chongguang first. Then, we'll split the star in front of us. Yu Hualong's eyes were filled with ferocious killing intent. Being looked down upon by a junior, he had long been unable to restrain his killing intent. Ichthyosaur 100 splitting strike. He let out a long roar. His body was like a Jiao dragon from the ninth heaven. Countless streams of black water gushed out from his body, and a long and strange dragon-shaped saber slashed down. Saber intent surged, saber force surged rapidly, and saber energy was vast and surging like a tsunami that tore the heavens and split the earth, drowning and swallowing everything. Yu Chuanxio's eyes lit up. "All right, let's kill Lei Chongguang first." Sword principle of raging fire. Yu Chuanxio's body was like a flaming heavenly sword. His sword merged with endless light and heat in the void. A flame burned on the sword endlessly. When the sword slashed open, the sword light melted all the rules and void, incinerating all the heavens and realms. Reversal of heaven and earth. Yin Karen showed himself at this time. His face was feminine, and he was devilishly handsome. His long purple hair hung down. A black ball was born above his palms, and it grew bigger and bigger. The black ball contained an aura that could swallow the eternal darkness, like a huge black hole. He was accumulating power. Once he blasted out this attack, it would definitely shake the heavens and the earth. Above the sky, four beams of light collided violently. On the lonely night star, Qin Feng was hiding above the clouds like a breeze. Qin Feng watched the scene with a sneer. A white light was emitting a dangerous light above Qin Feng's palm. At the same time, Qin Feng mobilized the power of the inner heaven and earth to clamp on the white light. The white light expanded and instantly turned golden. It emitted an aura that could even cause the void to collapse. Qin Feng's eyes moved and landed on the battle. The four people were getting closer and closer. The four of them were extremely powerful. They were definitely not people who had just advanced to the Sea Wheel realm could compare to. Especially the lightning-attributed Sea Wheel realm expert who was being attacked by the three of them. That young expert seemed to have cultivated an extremely powerful divine ability. It was very similar to one of the 36 true disciples of the Xingqian school, the 5 Lightning Extreme Palm. The 5 Lightning Extreme Palm was a peerless true inheritance that integrated the Tao of lightning into one body. If one completely comprehended this set of true inheritance, there was a high chance of comprehending the true essence of lightning and coming into contact with the Lightning Emperor's Annihilation, ranked 45th on the Divine Ability ranking. Although the Lightning Emperor's Annihilation was only ranked 45th on the Divine Ability ranking, it didn't mean that this divine ability was weak. On the contrary, it was ridiculously strong. Qin Feng had once cultivated this peerless divine ability in his previous life. When he used the Lightning Emperor's Annihilation, he directly shattered thousands of miles of mountains and rivers and destroyed a first-rate sect that had been passed down for 10,000 years. The violent tremors in the void attracted more and more people. One after another, extremely powerful existences flew over, their gazes solemn. Qin Feng, on the other hand, was getting more and more impatient. Qin Feng noticed that there were already a few waves of small beast tides in the heavenly river. His attention was attracted by these four fellows who were fighting, and he couldn't free up his hands at all. Although there were only 1 or 2 waves of Class 2 small beast tides, and even if he killed them, the benefits wouldn't be great. However, such intangible losses caused Qin Feng's eyes to become more and more unfriendly. Furthermore, Qin Feng could feel that the first wave was about to arrive. These fellows are endless. Qin Feng's eyes were gloomy. Extreme killing intent flashed in his eyes as he silently aimed the primordial chaos star cannon at the 4 Sea Wheel realm expert. Rumble! 4 beams of light shot out and instantly arrived in the periphery of solitary night star. Some of the Sea Wheel realm experts in the void were already stirring. Solitary night star's location was excellent. It was enough for some people to take the risk. Qin Feng looked up and saw the four figures engaged in an intense battle. No matter who it is, anyone who dares approach Solitary Night Star will die. The corners of his eyes curled into a sharp beam as Qin Feng sneered. Instantly, a tenth of the Chaos Heavens Yuan Qi augmented his palm. What did it mean to have a tenth of the Chaos Heavens Yuan Qi? At that moment, the Chaos Heavens had already expanded to a radius of 9,999 kilometers. Every breath of the Chaos Heavens took in nearly 10 tons of astral water. Previously, Qin Feng had taken in nearly half a day's worth of astral water. At that moment, Qin Feng was using a tenth of the Chaos Heavens Yuan Qi to augment his palm. The massive rebound caused Qin Feng to draw a cold gasp. The tremors in his palm caused him to lose control of it as he blasted it out. Under the gazes of countless experts hidden in the darkness, a beam of light appeared in Solitary Night Star. This beam of light suddenly expanded and instantly transformed into a gigantic golden beam of light that was about half a kilometer thick. Under this beam of light, many Sea-Wheel Realm experts felt their souls tremble. Instantly, they were completely pulverized by the golden beam of light. In their horror, many people hurriedly closed their eyes. But even with their eyes closed, the golden beam of light was still blinding, causing their eyeballs to hurt. However, even with their eyes closed, many powerful existences could still see the horrifying scene before they closed their eyes. With a single blast, the four Sea-Wheel Realm experts in the void were silently disintegrated by the golden beam of light. They melted and dissipated completely. This was the Chaos Heaven Earth Cannon. Solitary Night Star had an owner. Furthermore, it was very likely a Nirvana Realm martial powerhouse. This place was extremely dangerous. As though they had seen a ghost, the Sea-Wheel Realm experts turned pale. Instantly, more than 10 streams of light flew out of Solitary Night Star's periphery as though they had used all their strength. This is the second update. There are still 2 more updates. Chapter 368. Shock. Far away, people's throats trembled as their lips turned dry. Under the golden beam of light, the 4 famous Sea of Reincarnation experts were obliterated before they could even react. Near Solitary Night Star, the Sea of Reincarnation experts who were waiting to be fishermen were like frightened rabbits. They desperately distanced themselves from Solitary Night Star. It was too dangerous. There was actually a martial overlord hiding on this seemingly empty planet. Half an hour later, all the experts in the surroundings had fled. How heartbreaking! After the Sea of Reincarnation experts around Solitary Night Star left, the corners of Qin Feng's mouth twitched. 1/10 of the Chaos Heavens Yuan Qi was just too much. In fact, 1/50th was enough. Just 1/50th of the Yuan Qi was enough to blast the 4 Sea of Reincarnation experts to death. Qin Feng also realized that using the Chaos Heaven Earth Cannon was an extremely extravagant matter. Thankfully, with the Celestial River around, the Yuan Qi lost can be replenished at any time. Qin Feng's eyes revealed a look of joy. With this cannon, no one in the periphery of Solitary Night Star would run over to snatch food from a magnate as long as they had eyes. When the surrounding magnates saw this scene, they exchanged looks as their eyes revealed a hint of fear. Qin Feng's terrifying Chaos Heaven Earth Cannon had truly astounded them. The Golden Chaotic Heaven and Earth Cannon was slightly more powerful than the Chaotic Heaven and Earth Cannon used by a martial overlord. This was a tough nut to crack. Some of the magnates retracted their gazes. Although Solitary Night Star had excellent terrain, it was still inferior to the dozen or so stars upstream. As long as Qin Feng did not provoke them, they similarly would not provoke Qin Feng at this moment in time. Seeing the magnates retract their gazes, Qin Feng heaved a sigh of relief. Although he could use the Chaos Heavens to control the Chaos Heaven Earth Cannon, such a powerful existence was only a deterrent. If he were to truly encounter a magnate, Qin Feng would definitely not be their match. Whoosh! whoosh. At this moment, a series of strange sounds rang out in Qin Feng's ears. Above the celestial river in the distance, the vast and majestic water of the celestial river surged and boiled, raising huge waves that surged into the sky. Countless nebula beasts appeared in the heavenly river. The first wave of starlight beasts had arrived. Rumble! A dozen or so primordial chaos heaven and earth cannons began to roar from the upper reaches. Hundreds and thousands of Class 1 and Class 2 nebula beasts had their bodies destroyed. There were even a few Class 4 nebula beasts. Thousands of star essences flew out from the heavenly river and entered the magnate Qi practitioners' bodies. There were also dozens of smaller primordial void cannons and 200 to 300 primordial true power cannons that landed in the heavenly river one after another. More than 1,000 star essences were sucked back to Jihao. The experts of the Sun-Moon Sword Sect, Tianliang Cult, Hunyuan Sect, Xingqian School, and some small branches of the primordial Hunyuan Xingqian School began to unleash their full strength. However, this was only a small portion of the starlight beast tide. Seeing all of this, Qin Feng remained indifferent. He did not find it unfair. Qin Feng's palm produced a blob of golden light once again. The chaos heavens beneath his feet transformed into a vortex as it absorbed the seemingly corporeal stellar water from the heavenly river to replenish the chaos heavens' consumption. About a minute later, the turbulent waters of the heavenly river surged forward. The first wave of the beast tide had arrived. Leading them were Class 1 beasts such as silver bulls, silver rats, silver rhinos, silver wolves, silver leopards, silver lizards. There were also rare Class 2 beasts such as three-eyed silver sheep, two-winged silver lions, and one-horned silver tigers. Qin Feng held back. These Class 1 and Class 2 nebula beasts were no longer of much use to him. Among the beasts, Qin Feng even saw a Class 3 nebula beast, three-eyed giant ray. The three-eyed giant ray emitted starlight as though it was sentient. It shuttled through the heavenly river in an abnormally cunning and fast manner. Furthermore, its third eye was extremely powerful. There seemed to be a few heaven realm geniuses pursuing it upstream. Qin Feng saw the three-eyed giant ray's third eye emit a stellar metamagnet divine light. A heaven realm genius was struck in the abdomen, instantly opening up a huge hole. Thankfully, it was the stellar battle body. If not, the heaven realm genius would have been finished. Even so, this genius of the heaven realm temporarily lost the ability to continue hunting nebula beasts. He had missed an opportunity for nothing. Upon seeing this scene, Qin Feng turned vigilant. If a Class 3 nebula beast was already so difficult to deal with, a Class 4 nebula beast would definitely be even more difficult. At this moment, there was a sudden exclamation from upstream. Qin Feng focused his gaze and saw a Class 5 nebula beast, golden electric eel, leading more than a dozen Class 4 nebula beasts as they appeared. In an instant, more than a dozen martial arts magnates stared at the golden electric eel. Rumble! More than 30 Chaos Heaven-Earth cannon blasted the golden electric eel's body. The golden electric eel's scales, which were like golden armor, suddenly cracked, revealing its flesh and blood, accompanied by countless golden thunderbolts. The Class 5 nebula beast already had flesh and blood. Qin Feng's pupils changed slightly. Roar! 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 The golden electric eel was enraged by the stinging pain on its back. It roared loudly, and more than a dozen Class 4 nebula beasts around it began to counterattack. Black Flame Giant Tiger, Giant Earth Rhinoceros Emperor, Red Flame Centipede, Aquamarine Giant Python, Giant Nebula Eagle, Three-Tailed Star Fox. One after another, superpowers blasted toward the martial arts magnate. Rumble! Around these magnates, many Sea of Wheel Masters formed a formation to block them. The golden electric eel let out a low roar, and rings of golden thunderbolts jumped around its body. This was the golden heavenly thunder. It shook its head and wagged its tail. In the next moment, An extremely bright golden heavenly thunder tore through the void and appeared in the camp of the Sun-Moon Sword sect. Wherever the heavenly thunder passed, a few Meridian's realm geniuses were instantly turned into ashes. 2 Sea of Wheel masters were brushed by it, and their bodies were thrown high into the air. The remaining force of the thunder blasted a martial arts magnate. Rumble! The air shield around this martial arts magnate trembled violently. Poochie! Qin Feng could clearly feel that this martial arts magnate's aura had suddenly weakened. He was obviously injured. What a terrifying golden electric eel! Qin Feng sucked in a breath of cold air. Good beast, you're courting death. With a roar, this martial arts magnate flew into a rage out of humiliation. He opened up his inner world again, and the power of his inner world was added to his palm. This time, the mixed heaven and earth cannon in his palm had a trace of purple. This attack actually contained a trace of the origin of his inner world. At the same time, the other martial arts magnates started to unleash their power again. The temptation of a grade 5 golden electric eel was too great. If they could kill it, the astral essence that it gave back would benefit even martial arts magnates greatly. Killing it would be equivalent to several years of bitter cultivation. What moved the martial arts magnates the most was the golden heavenly thunder that the golden electric eel possessed. The power of this super ability made them envious. The golden electric eel was extremely intelligent. It knew that it was being targeted by a group of martial arts magnates, so it began to speed forward, hoping to use the terrain of the heavenly river to escape the pursuit of these martial arts magnates. Rumble! Dozens of mixed heaven and earth cannon blasted the golden electric eel's body. Roar! With a mournful cry, the golden electric eel's flesh and blood flew everywhere. There was a large hole in its abdomen. This round of concentrated fire had seriously injured it. However, its speed increased by 30% again. In a few breaths, it was actually within the range of Qin Feng's concentrated fire. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.